power bill through the roof? At 320 Solar, that power bill will be no more. In fact, about 90% of our customers report lower solar payments than with electricity. That's more power in your pocket. 320 Solar. Power up. Going solar with 320 may cost you nothing down. But the work we do is not a $0 job. With a 10-year roof penetration warranty and solar panels guaranteed for 25 years, you can have peace of mind knowing we will do the job right every time without question. 320 Solar. Power up.
Come to Sam Ash for hundreds of exclusive holiday deals on music and sound gear from the most iconic brands. Save big on professional and starter guitars, drums, digital pianos, horns, violins, DJ, and electronic production equipment. Supercharge your home studio with deals on podcasting, streaming, and AV equipment like speakers, microphones, headphones, and acoustic treatment. Plus, with 36 months no-interest financing on thousands of items, you can get the gear of your dreams right now. From our incredible selection and service to our lowest price guarantee for over 95 years, real musicians know you only go to Sam Ash.
I think the great thing about team sports is it takes everybody.
Please.
You're now in the Sports Web, a sports talk show for the hardcore fan. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, just about 2 hours away from Broncos versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as the Bucs are looking to pick up their second win. I'm your host, Peter Blake, live here from the Deck Bar and Grill in Isla del Sol, live on Bucs Report, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay. How you doing today?
I'm good, ready for some football.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, let's go out to our other guy here, Mr. Blake Anthony of Sports Talk 49. Welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's game day, my friend.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Another great day to be watching football.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we are going to get you ready. We'll have Frank Ammons on here about 2:20. Then after that, we'll have Evan Winter of Bucs Nation and the Atomic Blonde about 3:40. And then, of course, your phone calls, as always, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. We'll get into it. Of course, coming into this game, a lot of people, the big-time story has the offense's inability to put together a complete game. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, I look to you. Is this the day where the Bucs put it all together offensively and also defensively?
Yeah, because, I mean, like it goes back to that saying, to those who much is given, much is expected. And so, obviously, the siren song coming into the season was all these great pieces, lack of a preseason, lack of reps, all these pieces thrown in together like a good old New Orleans jambalaya, and they haven't really gotten the numbers that they've expected. But we've seen it. In just 2 weeks, we've seen it progress.
Yeah.
And now we expect to see them take that next step.
Absolutely. I'll go out to you, Blake. Is this the week they put it finally all together offensively and defensively?
Not sure. I mean, we all hope for that to happen. We'll have to find out what intangibles and what mountains they have to overcome this game. But that's where they find themselves as teams, and everybody executes and do their job. A lot of missed opportunities last week with drop catches and missed opportunities. But they still were able to get the W. We'll look forward and see if they put it all together or not. But I look forward to seeing them get the victory today.
All right, good stuff, good stuff. So, again, we'll take your phone calls here. We'll be rotating in and out. Blake will come in here. Ray will come go out there. He'll probably talk to some fans here. If you don't know, of course, the breaking news that just came down yesterday, the Bucs are going to start letting fans in at a limited capacity next week versus the Chargers. And then after that, it looks like it's going to be 20 to 25%. Everything is always changing against the Packers. So what are your thoughts on that, guys?
Well, I mean, I knew that, like I said last week, I know some people that work with that game day staff that have, again, 6 of the last 7 years, number one in the NFL for game day experience. And they were at last week's game against the Carolina Panthers because they were going over some of those COVID-19 protocols, some of the things they're going to be implementing for the safer distancing, if you will, even though we're in phase 3 in the state of Florida. we're still looking to keep it safe at the Bucs games. We're going to go with a limited capacity fans, but they're going to do it safe. But yeah, next week against the Chargers will be week 1.
Yeah, and I know that you're a guy that loves to see the fans. I mean, this is great news for all Bucs fans out there in some limited capacity, and it seems like, it was going to be a wait-and-see approach here, and now it seems like it's sooner rather than later.
Well, it's great for the fans that they get to come to the stadium finally. After sitting home watching the games, they get to be down there and experience some of Raymond James Stadium with the Tampa Bay Red led Buccaneers this season. So I know they're the 25% capacity should be it's a little something, but fans get to at least come down to Ray J and see the team live rather than watching it on TV.
All right, good stuff. All right, so once again, open phone lines. Again, this is powered by 320solar.com. Get rid of your electric bill. Save all kinds of money. Current promotion right now, if you go to 320solar.com, is you won't have a payment until 2022, not 2021, 2022. And let me just get you out of here for a moment there, Blake, because we're getting a little bit of feedback. He's outside right now, so I think the other big-time story was the usage of Rob Gronkowski and how he's not been used. Let's go to that soundbite on what he had to say this week on the Evolution Sports Talk Television. Here we go.
I mean, I'm a blocking tight end, I came here to block, baby. So 4 targets is 4 more than I thought I was going to get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, to that extent, to that end, I mean, when you watch Leonard Fournette ice a game away, right, that's got to be fun for you.
Exactly. Yes, that was actually a huge run when that's what it's all about is finishing games, and that's what he did at that time with that run. So that was a great run, definitely by him, and that feels good, to be a part of that to help close out the game.
Thanks, Rob.
Yep.
All right, next is going to be Jenna Lane.
Rob, you're not fooling anyone. While you say you're a blocking tight end, your track record indicates that otherwise, that you have a lot more to offer there. When you came to Tampa Bay, what were your expectations like as far as how much you were going to be used in the passing game? And would you like to see that role increase? I mean, I looked back at your weeks 1 through 2 in the 7 other years that you started the beginning of the season. And aside from your rookie year, you haven't had, such few catches previously.
I'm a blocking tight end. That's all I got.
That's all you got. But what about all the other times that you were in the red zone? All those red zone catches, all those touchdowns that you caught. It's not like you just forgot how to do that, right?
I think I did.
Really?
No, I didn't forget. But every game plan can change differently, week in, week out. There's sometimes, in my career, you could be targeted 15 times, and there's other times you can be targeted just a few. I mean, all depends on how the defenses are playing us, how the defenses are lining up against us, who they're taking away, and all that good stuff. So it's just, 2 weeks into the season. So just got to go out there and just keep on fighting, just give it my all.
All right, so that's what it comes down to, guys, and let's go back out to Blake here. A lot of people making a big deal about this. Are you worried about it? I mean, this has been all the talk this week about Gronkowski not getting his targets. And even Coach Arians said here, Blake, that this is not an offense that's predicated around giving the ball to a Gronkowski 50 times a game.
I think you guys heard me say this before, and I'll say it again for those who probably didn't listen or didn't hear it. This offense is going to be week to week, just like Rob Gronkowski said. It's not going to be one bell cow person that's going to get the ball every week. It's going to go to who's open. It's going to go to who allowed you. Basically, the ball goes to who leaves the guy when one-on-one or leaves him open. That's where the ball is going to go. Whoever the hot man is, you don't know who that is each week. And Rob's right. He's like, you don't know until you come out there and play, and then you go from there. You make halftime adjustments. and then you keep rolling with the punches from that point, trying to limit yourself with turnovers and trying not to do things that's going to harm yourself from winning a football game, much like they did in Week 1 against New Orleans.
You know, I think the big news on that last question there was that Miss Jenna Lane actually asked a question and didn't have Tom Brady in question.
Oh, God.
Very funny.
No, I kid. But although, you know, the thing is that was, except for the playful hardiness and the laughing with Gronkowski, that was basically a typical New England Bill Belichick type of answer, taking a question that the media is making a big deal about it and turning it inside out to just show in reverse how, excuse the name, but how asinine making a deal about it is. It truly is.
Right.
It's the third weekend. We haven't even seen the same offense twice.
Well, I agree. I'll tell you what, we'll go out to Bruce Arians' comments about how he feels. Let me put you back in the lobby here about Gronkowski's usage here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Here we go.
It's just it never was his forte, but if you're going to go up there and bump and run him, that's a different story. But you know, to just think he's going to run past a corner who runs 4.4, he's never done that anyway. So it's not like it's something new. But he can still go down the field, stretch the field. You know, we had good times on him in practices, and so yeah, he can stretch the field. It's just he's not going to line up wide and run 40-yard balls.
Is his greatest contribution, aside from being a run blocker, which he's done that really well, is it really for you guys going to be as a red zone target, or are you still kind of figuring that out?
I just game to game. I mean, we came in here with no expectations and just, hey, whatever happens, happens. Just you play tight end, and we'll see.
There you go. You play tight end. I mean, that's what it comes down to here, guys, and it's all about matchups. We always talk about it. We talk about it ad nauseum on the sports web. Every football game is about matchups, so people just losing their minds over this. It's only the third game of the season. I happen to think that if the Bucs get into that opportunity of being in the red zone, that they're definitely going to use it more today, or maybe in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and you know, I talked about this on a Cup of Ray this morning, and it's the fact that we're 1-1, and we lost the first week against New Orleans, and we've hashed that one out.
Sure.
But the fact that the offense is continuing to look good, we got the running game going last week, we got something to build on, and the fact that we still have some weapons in the cache that we haven't even gotten to yet, Gronkowski being one of those, it just gives me opportunity. It gives me reason for optimism.
Blake, what do you make of Coach Arians' comments there?
I mean, Ray hit it on the head a lot there. It's like kind of asinine that you keep poking at this. They're 1-1. They have a lot to go on from last week. You got the running game going. You found a little bit of what works between the three backs. They all showed a skill set of what they were brought in here to do, and they showed that last week. Why don't we just worry about carrying that on instead of focusing on trying to force feed the ball to Rob Gronkowski? Might not be Rob this week. Might be OJ that might get off this week. You don't know. I mean, you come in here to play tight end, like you said, it's on both aspects, blocking and receiving. So, I mean, I think just everybody just gets so accustomed to tight ends being more receiver threats than they are helping with blocking.
All right, good stuff here. Let me put you back in the lobby there. We'll kill that sound. We'll come back to you in a moment. Let's go out to the web heads here. Big game today, says Jason. Tom Kent, long intro just for you, Tom. I know you love it. LFG, absolutely. Tom Kent, have to allow our guys to get the show shared across the platforms. We're almost ready to go. No, we just do that to upset you. So you don't do it. No, we do it because it's a presentation of a show. We're not just going from our cell phones here and saying, hey, hello, we're on the sports web. We actually want to give you some type of presentation where you're actually watching the evolution of Sports Talk Television. And for me to have to explain that, Tom, for you to be tuning into this show for the last couple years, I feel like you're just trolling at this point. So there you go. We need to control the clock from start to finish. Let's go ahead and bring Blake in here. We need to control the clock from start to finish. I mean, that comes down to the running game. That's been the big story last week with Leonard Fournette having a good day. 12 carries, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns, and of course the capper against the Carolina Panthers for 46 yards. Do you think we'll see more carries out of him? First from you, Blake, and then we'll go back to you, Ray. What do you think?
You said you asked me if we're going to see more carries from Leonard Fournette?
Yes.
I mean, of course you're going to see him probably. You're going to see him sparingly in the first half, probably coming out catching passes and run the rock a little bit. But you should still see Ronald Jones in there to start off, trying to get the offense rolling, and Shady coming in on passing downs and Leonard come in on short yardage, and then you should see him put a big dose to finish off in the fourth quarter. I think they're going to kind of keep that platform going because it worked really well last week.
All right, what do you think here, Ray?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see Leonard Fournette come in, then put the Broncos put 8 in the box, expecting Leonard Fournette to run it right down their throat. And if he does, then he pounds it to him just as well. But I'd love to see a play action pass and then go 40 yards down to Mike Evans or Scotty Miller, or maybe hit Gronkowski where he can pick up some yak and even a touchdown. So, I mean, the fact that we've got some running game on film that they had to study for this week is only going to open up our opportunities.
Yeah, no, and absolutely. I think we're going to see more carries from Fournette, especially if Ronald Jones puts the ball on the ground and is ineffective. And then on top of it, like you said, that takes the pressure off of Tom Brady. Although, gentlemen, Chris Godwin has returned to the lineup. He missed last week. Evans went off for 100 yards. Could this be a day where Chris Godwin goes off?
We did find out last week what this offense looked like without that Chris Godwin in the lineup.
What do you say here, Blake? Does Chris Godwin go off on this very young secondary by the Broncos?
Chris Godwin will have the ability. I believe he's going to have a good day. So probably have somewhere around 80 yards receiving, maybe a touchdown. He's just going to get his opportunities in one-on-one coverage. From a breakdown on Friday, the Broncos are going to play a lot of man coverage. As I told you guys the past 2 weeks, until the Buccaneers can prove that they can get separation, teams are going to play the tight man coverage on them and send a lot of heat at Tom Brady to force errant throws. So until those receivers learn how to beat them, DBs, when they play press on them, they're going to keep doing it. So Godwin and Evans will get their chances to make big plays.
All right, let's go back out to the webheads here. Let's see what Mike E has to say. That means running the ball, absolutely. Slow the game down, beat them up with the run. Mike says Joe Burrow just got his welcome to the NFL hit. Christopher Calder's always trying to make something out of nothing. And I think he's going to get used to it. You're going to have to get used to it here, gentlemen, because that's the national media and because Tom Brady is such a polarizing figure for the Bucs, and because of his legacy and his longevity, I think it's going to be a story every week.
Well, I think that also the sign of a mature team is the fact that Gronkowski will take the heat. He'll have the eyes upon him. He'll get those silly questions or maybe applicable questions in the press conferences. But meanwhile, behind the scenes, they're working on Donovan Smith's blocking skills. They're working on O.J. Howard's blocking and or catching skills. They're working on Shady dropping that pass in the touchdown. So anytime, and that's exactly what you'll see from a team leader like a Gronkowski or a Tom Brady, anytime they can take the media spotlight and put it on them while the rest of the team continues to find their way and find their course, that's what the leader's going to do, and that's what a leader does for their team.
Absolutely, Blake. And once again, it's become a story where, basically it's all about Brady. It's about Gronk. What else is coming because of Tom Brady and the polarizing figure he is. You feel like there's another story here coming in the next week or two, right?
I mean, yeah, right. If they put it all together, I'm sure they'll find something else to figure what's not going on. Godwin, they'll figure this reminds me of last season where Mike Evans, if you remember, Mike Evans didn't get off too well at the beginning of the season, and media got really all antsy about Mike Evans not getting any catches. And then the first pass in that Carolina game in London was an interception trying to force the ball to Mike Evans. So if you guys remember that. I think Arians and Brian Leftwich just needs to stick to their game plan and take what's given to them.
Any concern here, gentlemen? And we'll get out to Frank Ammons of 320solar.com. Of course, the evolution of the sports web, live from the Deck Bar and Grill in East Philadelphia. So I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. Blake Anthony of Sports Talk 49. We'll have Frank on here in a moment. Any concern here, gentlemen, on Brady's previous record playing at Mile High?
Not here. I mean, obviously every team is different. And in the past, the Broncos have had Von Miller. They had a DeMarcus Ware. They had a defense that wasn't trying to learn on the run or depleted by injuries. They didn't have they had a quarterback, but they were trying to figure out between Trevor Siemian and Pat Lynch. But now they've got, now you've got. You're going to make me quarterback today. You're going to make me search for it. I know. Anyway.
Jeff Driscoll. Your boy.
You don't have. Yeah.
Former Florida Gator.
Yeah. But you don't have. It's not every situation is the same. This team is still finding itself. But just to go ahead and finish off on the Gronkowski and the light on him, if it wasn't the light on Gronkowski and his lack of catches, it would be the media asking about Shaq Barrett and his lack of sacks. Or it would be about where Cam Brate is other than on the side of a milk carton. So again, I work it back to the fact that leaders will take the light upon them, make joke of it, make light of it, make fun of it, while everyone else continues to improve and find their way.
All right, so Blake, we will put you back in the lobby here. We'll go out to Frank Ammons of 320solar.com. Let's get him on. Welcome to the Evolution. It's game day, and to me, the Bucks are absolutely catching the Denver Broncos at the right time with all the injuries. Frank, welcome.
Hey guys, welcome. Thanks for letting me be on the show with you guys.
Absolutely. Of course, this show brought to you by, powered by 320solar.com. Tell everybody about what 320 Solar is all about.
Well, we're here to provide solar power to homes so that you can create your own power and you're not subject to the hike of different prices from your electric company. So essentially what we do is we put the power back in homeowners' pockets, and they have control and they can save money, and it does a lot of benefits that just having your electric company doesn't provide.
All right, good stuff here. So how do you look at this matchup right now? I mean, the Bucks are facing a backup quarterback in Jeff Driscoll, although they haven't really had a good time with facing backups. To me, I think this is a matchup where Shaq Barrett could possibly go off today because he has no sacks and he's coming back to his former team. He wants to prove something, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been close plenty of times for this first two games. I think this game is probably going to be played closer than what people might expect because the defense on Denver's side is still solid, and I think we're still trying to find our groove when it comes to the offense. So I think this game is going to be played close. So, we can't really underestimate a backup quarterback. He didn't play that bad against the Steelers. Matter of fact, he gave him a chance to win, but didn't pull it off. But I think it'll be a close game, but I think we still pull it out.
Let's go out to Tampa Bay. Ray Kennedy, he's exactly right. 250 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Again, and it's not like the Broncos are going to lay down, but you look at the injuries that the Broncos have as a team. Cortland Sutton out. Philip Lindsay out, their starting quarterback out, Von Miller out, A.J. Boye out. I mean, they've had so many injuries, so this is definitely the time for the Bucs to take advantage of it.
And Frank makes a good point because they still gave Pittsburgh a game, but unlike years past where the Buccaneers have had trouble against those backup quarterbacks, we're looking for, and I think today we see a ball control offense that can dictate instead of it just being an aggressive defense and dictate an offense trying to find its way or throwing interceptions. Now we're looking at a ball control offense there at Mile High up at 5,000 feet. Let Fournette, let Rojo, maybe even let Shady get in there. Let them control the clock, and then our defense comes in and closes the deal, and that's where you have your success.
Absolutely. Frank, let's talk about that running game. Of course, Leonard Fournette, 12 carries, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns. Do you expect more carries from him, or do you believe in what Coach Arians is basically saying, where they're going to keep on spreading it around with Ronald Jones starting out so they have Fournette fresh in that fourth quarter?
I'm with Ray. I mean, I think it's who wins the possession is probably going to win the game. So I think we're going to see a heavy dose of whoever's got the hot hand. I think that's the way this season's going to go. I mean, if Jones starts taking off and, getting 6, 7, 8-yard runs, then we're probably going to see a lot more of Jones. But they're both going to get an opportunity. And like last week, I think whoever hits the hole and gets some yards is probably going to have the majority of the carries. I do expect the tight ends to finally get involved this week, today. And so I hope to see some good tight end play from all 3 of the tight ends actually.
So Frank, and we're on with Frank Ammons of 320solar.com. Once again, powered by 320solar.com for the sports web, the evolution of sports talk television. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. No concern about Rob Gronkowski not getting more touches. I mean, are they trying to work him in there? Are they looking for matchups? I mean, what's your take on this whole situation?
I think, honestly, they're going to have plenty of opportunities down the stretch, even late in the season, for Rob to really show why we brought him back in and why we're going to pay him, $9 million this year.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have plenty of opportunities. So, it's still early in the season. Yes, we would love to have seen him score a few touchdowns, catch more passes, but we got a lot of options. And that's last time I checked, that's a good thing. So, let's not get too crazy too early.
And you guys know what I'm excited about. we know this narrative, Frank. You do. You're a football fan going way back like we are. Denver and that thinner air is a kicker-friendly environment. And again, I'm going to keep preaching that. I'm going to keep knocking on wood and preaching that Ryan Suckup and to have what it means to have a kicker who can consistently put the biscuit through the uprights. And I look for him to have a good day today. Hopefully it's because he's kicking 7 extra points, but it could be because he comes in and kicks those nice, consistent, solid field goals. And that could also be the difference in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's got to be ready. I put him in as my kicker for my fantasy team. So I'm hoping that he does well for us today. It could be one of those win by a kick or a field goal type games. So
you think it's that close? You really think it's that close?
I think it'll be a close game, and maybe it's because the offense on our side is not playing in rhythm yet, or maybe it's because their defense plays this close. I don't know, but I think I just have a feeling it's going to be a close game.
Yeah, the matchup that I'm kind of looking at and getting into more of the matchups here, Donovan Smith, he played a lot better last week, but as I've said before, there's times where he needs more. He needs to be better than he is, and I'm kind of worried about that matchup between Donovan Smith and the Bradley Chubb. What do you say? What's one matchup that you're focused on? Is it a Jerry Jeudy, who's a young wide receiver, versus this young secondary possibly?
No, I think our secondary is actually playing really well. I'm not really worried about Jerry Jeudy as much. I think Donovan Smith, the play calling will help a lot with the type of plays they call that will help him actually, maybe hide him a little bit, quicker release type throws. At the end of the day, I think he showed some improvement last week. Hopefully he continues that track. But at the end of the day, I think that he's going to do just fine.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff.
You know what, guys? It's just sometimes I just got to pinch myself, and I don't want to sound overzealous, but the Bucks are on in an hour and a half, and it's a 4:00 game, which that's rare air as it is, right?
Hey, and for the first time, we're going to see the all pewter new uniform.
Good point.
Well,
yes.
I'm wearing the pewter right now. I don't know if anybody noticed.
I'm wearing pewter undergarments, but we won't go there.
I don't care at this point. In fact, this is what I'm going to do because you said something like that, and basically now the views went down because of saying stuff like that.
That's what I do.
You're an idiot. All right, Frank. So again, tell us about 320solar.com because I want to keep on promoting this and pumping it because it's such a great promotion that your company has going on right now.
Well, guys, if you guys want to get rid of your high electric bills, 320solar.com is the place to go. We will come out and tell you all about solar and how it works. It's zero out of pocket, so that means you don't have to pay anything to get solar. It'll be less than what you're paying in electric right now. That's pretty much a guarantee. And you'll be able to create your own power and save money, see a value of your property go up. And we have a great promotion. If you sign up for solar before the end of this month, and we only have a few more days left, you won't have any payments until 2022. And that'll help you see what it's like to actually have solar power and give the good news to your electric company and say, hey, I'm going to be creating my own power and goodbye to you guys. So, we go to our website, 320solar.com, sign up for a free quote. We'll come out and show you what it's all about, and you decide whether it's a good idea or not. And over 2,000 homeowners in the state of Florida have decided to go solar with 320 Solar. So you guys can join the club and see that electric bill go bye-bye.
All right. I love it. I love it. Good stuff. All right. Let's go out. Let's get your prediction on this. And who are some of your breakout players for each side of the ball, offensively and defensively?
Well, I'm looking at OJ Howard probably having a big game today, and probably a little bit more of Fournette on the offensive side. I think our rookie, Winfield is still is probably going to be up there in the top. If he can stay healthy, he'll be in the top in names as far as rookie of the year. I think you're going to see another level of him come out today with a lot of safety play and good tackling in the backfield, as he's shown that he can come down and blitz. He can come and disrupt and make great tackles in the open field. So we'll see more of that. I think it's a close one, probably around 23 to 20, 21, something like that. But I think it's a close game today.
All right, good stuff. Thanks a lot, Frank Ammons of 320solar.com for coming on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Once again, powered by 320solar.com. Appreciate you, all right?
Thanks, guys.
All right,
Take
good
care,
stuff. So there you go.
You know, to go ahead and just finishing up on the whole solar thing, right?
Yes.
The Sunshine State. That's Florida's nickname. But let's take it beyond the fact of your energy independence, right?
Mhm.
And powering up with the 320 solar. Terrible storms. And we see more of these, or we have strong storm seasons. And there are times where you're going to have electric lines down if utilities are not going to be able to come through. But you have your own energy source. You have your own power plant in your home. In fact, you may even you may have neighbors borrowing some of that source, and you're getting it again from what? The sunshine in the Sunshine State. One of the reasons why when the dude told me that 320 Solar was was my sponsor for Cup of Ray, I was just like, give me something that I can get into, and I can totally get into something like 320 and solar energy. So glad to have you aboard, Frank. Thank you.
Absolutely. We got 6 minutes until we have Evan Winter on of Bucks Nation getting his thoughts. We haven't had him on in a while, so it'll be good to hear from him here on the Sports Web. And, of course, open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Live from the Deck Bar and Grill. It's the Sports Web. Let's go out to Mr. Matt Colson, Oklahoma City. You lead off on the Sports Web. What's on your mind? How about those brownies? You got to turn your phone up a little bit, bud. What are they winning right now? Well, it's not over yet, right? Oh, really?
Wow.
Well, there you go. You're using their running game. Can you hear him okay?
I got him in my right ear.
Yeah,
I got him on the right
I don't
side,
know why.
I heard him say Baker's going to film more commercials today instead of having to play football. Is that what I'm hearing? No, Matt, you're coming off only on over one channel. I think maybe it's our connection, but go ahead.
Yeah, go for it. Huh. Okay. Mm-hmm.
No, I like it.
Well, you like that.
I get it. And I again, it's like, you know, I've said it before, Martin Gramatica, you know, one of my faves, always been going back to Garo Yepremian when he played here for literally a cup of coffee. Well, I've always had a thing for place kickers, and we've had such a problem the last few years with it, Matt. And then, you know, like I said, I'm not saying that Ryan's not going to have a miss. I mean, it's the very nature of the position, but to actually have a kicker that when he runs out there, you feel pretty confident that he's going to come through on it. That just feels great because of the troubles the Bucks have had in recent years. Yeah, right. Go. Yeah, so go ahead. I'm sorry. And it was just, and the thing was, is like, I mean, you go from the most consistent place kicker in the history, Roberto Aguayo, and he comes in here and he can't hit the side of a barn, and you're going through kicker after, and even, you know, a fair bar. We got kickers that are on NFL rosters now throughout the league that came through here, and you're like, it's nice. The humidity's a little high in Florida, but generally the weather's nice. Now, Martine talked on our show a few weeks back about, I think it was on Al Keck's show, about how tricky the winds can get in Ray J, but it's generally like that in most of stadiums because the stadium by its very nature is a large bowl with openings at the different corners, so it creates a different breeze. But I mean, you know, the fact that we've got a consistent kicker, and Suckup is a pretty darn good kicker, and watch me stick my foot in my mouth, and post game Matt's calling me to say,
you're just gonna curse it, aren't you?
No.
So
good point.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. What's your score prediction? Okay. Okay. Huh. Okay.
Well, you know, and Matt, well, I was getting ready to say that you're hoping that the team leans in, right? Because if they're going into it, right? Because if they're going into this game and that defense is like, because I'm thinking as you're talking, Matt, I'm thinking it's almost a scenario like a preseason game
We got you. Go ahead.
It's almost like a preseason game where like one coach keeps his starters in an extra half, a couple plays or an extra drive, and the other team's already substituting. And go ahead, Matt. Right.
Okay. I'll tell you what we're going to go ahead and do. We'll go ahead, Matt. We're going to cut this off for right now because I guess we can't hear your phone. We'll get it worked out here. Stand by. All right, no phone calls right now. We're just going to have a little bit of technical difficulties. That's what happens sometimes. So deal with it, and we'll deal with it. Let's go out to Evan Winter of Bucks Nation. Evan, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. How you doing today, buddy?
What's going on, man? How's it going?
What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Man, just waiting for this game to come on. I mean, like the worst hours on Sunday is between like in Central Time where I'm at 10 to 12 Eastern or 10 to 12 Central. And then like, obviously today it's like 1 to 3 Central. So just waiting for the game to come on. Can't wait for it to happen.
Absolutely. Evan Winter of Bucks Nation. So go ahead and talk about this matchup a little bit. Once again, the Bucks catching the Broncos at the right time, right?
Yeah, it seems that way. And just based off of what we saw from the Broncos last week against the Steelers, Tampa Bay, there's a lot of matchups to like in this game when it comes to the Bucks and what they're able to do. The first thing that comes to mind is Tampa Bay's front seven against the Denver offensive line. The interior of the offensive line appears pretty solid on paper. However, they haven't really played that way. Lloyd Cushenberry has, according to Sports Info Solutions, has given up the most blown blocks in pass protection amongst all the centers in the league. Now, granted, he's a rookie, didn't have an off season, so on and so forth. But at the same time, you look at Tristan Wirfs on the other side at right tackle for the Bucks. He's not making those same type of mistakes. Regardless, though, you got to wonder how he's going to match up against Vita Vea and Dominican Sue, Will Golston, who had his sack last week. And then obviously, if the Bucks can take care of that advantage on the inside of the offensive line, that frees things up on the outside with the tackles and the edge rushers. Hold on one second, my dog is going nuts. Hey,
you gotta love a live television here. Let's go back out to us right there as he gets his dog. You gotta love it. I love it.
Yeah, she does that all. She'll bark at her own shadow. But so yeah, gotta like what they can do. That's going to free up the edge rushers on the outside. One of my bold predictions for this week is Shaq Barrett ends up with at least 2.5 sacks. I think he has a big game today, especially against Elijah Wilkinson. And if he doesn't have a big game, then Jason Pierre-Paul's going to have a big game. Somebody, either way, Tampa Bay's front seven stands to have a big day today.
Evan, can I ask you a question? We know your breakdowns are just phenomenal. I love your breakdowns and listening to
Appreciate
what well, you do a great job, but and I think you would agree that we've seen in the last 2 weeks, especially facing a Kamara and a McCaffrey, how the defensive line was almost, secondary was the rush, was they were dropping back in, and we had our secondary coming up and covering more on the line, kind of shake things up. Do you see the Bucks going back to more of their base 4-3 type of defense and playing like that, or do you think they're going to continue that trend moving forward with bringing those defensive backs and safeties up so fast?
I hope they continue with defensive backs and the safeties, blitzing them and bringing them for pressure just from everywhere, because obviously that's worked so far. There's 6 team sacks spread throughout 4 players right now, and obviously one of those sacks belongs to Antoine Winfield, but he's also got the second most quarterback hits or something like that amongst safety rookies. I can't remember exactly the exact stat, but either way, it's working right now. The Bucks were able to get 5 sacks last week against the Panthers by bringing pressure from all over the place. So it just all really depends on how everything works this week. I would say if they're going more to a base defense, it would definitely be this week, because you expect the Broncos, or at least I expect the Broncos to come out in a lot of 12 personnel. I expect them to try to use Noah Fant, which obviously you could use him in 11 personnel as well. But Pat Shurmur likes to take deep throws. He likes to take shots down the field. I don't think Denver's good enough. Offensive line is good enough to make that happen. However, if you watch Carolina last week, a lot of their deep throws came off of max protect, which is leaving 7 or more guys in the block. And if that happens, I think that's how Denver's going to take their deep shots, which goes back to your point, Ray, about keep the Bucs staying in base or in their base defense. It just all really depends. But, yeah, man, as far as it goes with seeing the secondary being brought in the pressure packages, I'm all for that every day of the week.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and I feel like Shaq is the guy that you have to watch for because he has no sacks in this. He
Right.
has everything to prove, and you're facing an offensive line that gave up 7 sacks versus the Steelers last week. So this is a great opportunity for this Bucs defensive line to really get after it.
Yeah, man. The NFL has this weird way of always evening itself out. So you know that eventually Shaq's going to get some kind of stats going to where he kind of starts to balance the universe out in the NFL universe. And I definitely think that's this week.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're on with Evan Winter of Bucs Nation here live on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, powered by 320solar.com. What's some other matchups that you're looking at against the Broncos?
Well, I'll kind of flip it over and go against the Bucs. It's definitely going to be Noah Fant against this defense. Tampa Bay showed last year in 2019 they had issues covering tight ends, even though you've got Levante and Devin White in there, two of the most athletic inside linebackers in the league. And so far this year, not necessarily with the Panthers, but that's just because the Panthers don't really target their tight ends. But with Jared Cook, they had a lot of issues with him. Obviously, the 46-yard reception in the fourth quarter is one of the first plays that come to mind. So they've got to prove that they can contain the tight end. And right now, Noah Fant is the most dynamic player on the Broncos offense. I had a couple guys on, Ian St. Clair and Adam Malnati from Mile High Report. That's SBNation.com's Denver Broncos blog. And they actually said, I asked them if they saw the Broncos kind of tailoring the offense around Driscoll. And they said they saw it more as tailoring the offense around not having Courtland Sutton, which obviously means using the middle of the field, which means using Noah Fant, and even possibly using Melvin Gordon a lot more. So definitely, man, today I'm going to be watching on offense Noah Fant against the Bucs defense and what he does.
See, now what I hear when you say that, Evan, what I hear is Devin White, Levante David, get off today. I mean, I know exactly what you're saying, and I agree.
Right.
So I'm hearing maybe Devin comes up with a nice interception and maybe a nice return for a touchdown.
That's what you would think. You would think that Tom Bowles is going to have something dialed up, and eventually they'll figure out a way. I mean, Noah Fant's only. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's an excellent player. Tight ends can be a huge mismatch, but he's only a tight end at the end of the day. He's not going to go off for 230 yards and 3 touchdowns. At least, God, I hope not. And so on and so forth. So yeah, eventually you can find a way to contain him. It's just how the Broncos use him, which is really going to matter. I think Levante and Devin are going to have a huge day today. As Todd Bowles talked about it a couple weeks ago, Vita Vea and Ndamukong and Will all free up Levante and Devin to make these plays that they make. That should not change this week at all because they should feast on this offensive line. They really should.
I mean, you talk about Noah Fant and Jerry Jeudy. Of course, they lost Courtland Sutton, and they also have Melvin Gordon, who in this league has been very productive.
Yeah.
But you have to feel very confident, Evan, in this run defense and what they've done the last couple of weeks, shutting down a Kamara and also McCaffrey.
100%. And, Melvin Gordon, I think he's one of the most underrated backs in the league. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. Granted, he's had his injury history and all that other stuff, but still, when he gets the ball in his hands, the dude has great vision. He's tough between the tackles. He's an excellent receiver. He makes plays when the ball's in his hands. But, and I haven't felt this way about a Tampa Bay defense in a while, but if the Broncos decide to center their offense around him, I'm for that all day long because I have the utmost confidence that this defensive front's going to get the job done. And if anything, he'll affect the Bucs in the passing game more than he will in the run game. But, obviously we'll see here in a few hours.
Thing about Melvin Gordon too is that the narrative on him was he wanted to get paid. He wanted our Chargers to man up and figure. And the thing is football fans, we never disagreed because that guy, he's got some talent, and that that he's probably going to be leaning on him quite heavily today. But then again, Evan, you make the point. This Buccaneer defense against the run, that seems to play in our favor. That remains to be seen, but it gives us cause for hope.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I tell you right now, I'm looking at the matchup between Bradley Chubb, and even though he's banged up against Donovan Smith and this offensive line, I feel like this offensive line once again has to play well, especially Smith, because we always talk about it. We talked about it in the offseason where basically you have to protect Tom Brady. You have to keep him upright. You don't want him taking unnecessary hits.
For sure. And the offensive line is the key to this entire offense, since the offense likes to take vertical shots and has to have time to develop the routes downfield. If you go, like, I went back and watched some more of the Carolina tape a couple days ago, a little bit more in depth. And if you look at Brady's interception to Gronkowski, sure, it was a bad decision, wasn't a good throw, but at the same time, Alex Kappa got blown up on that play. And within seconds, obviously within seconds, but within a lot quicker than seconds, Derek Brown was already coming at Brady. He wasn't able to step into the throw. Made me feel like Gronkowski was the hot read, which, like I said, still not a good throw, all that other good stuff. But it's just when something that small can affect a play that much, you've got to make that the priority when it comes to your team. So, yeah, the Bucks can't afford these little whiffs every now and then that we see from a Donovan Smith, that we even see from a Ryan Jensen and a Kappa. Tristan Wirfs, honestly, he's held his ground. Been extremely impressed with him. Can't wait to see what he does this week. But, yeah, man, I mean, it's going to be a big deal for this offensive line to make sure their stuff is together, because if not, it can quickly derail this offense, especially with how much the Bucks want to run the ball. That's a huge key as well.
Yeah, speaking of running the ball, do you expect, I asked Frank this, Frank Emmons of 320solar.com and all the guys here, do you expect more of a dose of Leonard Fournette, or do you think they keep it the way they've had it with Ronald Jones starting out and keeping Fournette fresh in the fourth quarter? Because Bruce Arians, his explanation on this whole deal, to me, it's sound, because you want that bell cow runner in the fourth quarter. But once again, if you're not effective in the first half with the Jones and whoever else you have, I think you're going to have to go to Fournette more. What do you think?
Yeah, if you listen exactly what you said, Peter, and if you listen to what Bruce is saying, then they're going to keep things the way it is. But going back and looking at the Carolina game last week, they were rotating backs in and out frequently and often as well. I mean, on the first drive, if I remember correctly, McCoy and Jones both had touches, and then you even saw, I think, a couple drives later, if I'm remembering correctly. Either way, there were at least two running backs touching the ball on almost every drive. I don't think until the very end in the fourth quarter, I don't really think there were any running backs who really stayed in on a drive. Fournette also outsnapped Rojo 26-21 last week. So even though it's only 5 snaps, he still played more. How much that had to do with the botched exchange between him and Brady, obviously we won't know that for sure. But it's really hard to predict what this coaching staff is going to be. And it's hilarious or what they're going to do when it comes to running backs. And it's hilarious because this is exactly how New England was with Brady at the helm. You never really knew which running back was going to do anything or was going to get the bulk of the workload. And to me, that's exactly what's going on in Tampa Bay right now.
Well, and you go back to last season, right? Going into what game was it where the big news all week was, wow, Mike Evans never got targeted the entire last game.
Right.
And the first pass of the game is going to Mike Evans, intercepted, right?
Right.
And Evan, I like what you're saying and I think that the fact is that teams, we know this is how the NFL works. A defense is going to play an offense's tendencies. But the Buccaneers, again, it's only 2 weeks in. We're literally 1/8 of the season. But they're showing that they're putting up these tendencies so that when you bring a Fournette in and Denver cheats 8 up in the box to stop that big Fournette run, you go play action and you hit deep. But that's exactly like what you're saying, what New England did. New England would have their tendencies and they would purposely show their hand, but they weren't playing their hand. They were going to burn you the other way. And that's why I like the way it's setting up.
And I think it also comes back to this, Evan. Coach Arians talked about it. Again, they're not looking to target Rob Gronkowski 50 times a game or tight end 50 times a game. He's looking to throw to the open man. Has there been too much made about this Gronkowski situation?
No, I don't think there has. And it's because of where the Bucks were roster-wise when they decided to make the move for Gronkowski. They spent $10 million and a fourth-round pick, or not 10 million, 9.25, and a fourth-round pick to bring him in. The 9.25 is the second highest base salary for a tight end in the NFL. And yeah, obviously, I mean, Bruce was using hyperbole. Nobody's going to target a tight end 50 times a game. And I am definitely down for them always throwing to the open man, taking what the defense gives. But at the same time, this comes from the same head coach who said he doesn't care if a guy is double covered down the field, take the damn shot. You know what I'm saying? I'm paraphrasing, but so Bruce is okay with forcing the issue from time to time. He even says he's always cool with Evans in the 50-50 balls because most of the time Evans is going to win that matchup. So it's not like Bruce doesn't care about taking shots. At the same time, don't force feed it to Gronk, but they could have spent that money on a good backup quarterback. No disrespect to Blaine Gabbert. They could have spent it on a wide receiver, which we've seen through 3 games now. The Bucs have been down 1 receiver each game, even though Mike Evans played week 1. He really wasn't Mike Evans. And that also could have had to do with New Orleans, how he plays against New Orleans. But another edge rusher, Carl Nassib, could have stayed. They brought in Joe Haig, so offensive line is good, but defensive line, Antoine Winfield works in the safety, and the cornerbacks are working out right now. It's not a huge I don't think it's a big deal that people are making a big deal of it, but it could come back to bite them, and that's when people are really going to make a big deal out of it. And in that case, I think it'll be warranted. So, but right now it hasn't bit them, so that's good.
All right, good stuff. So I tell you right now, let's go ahead, get a prediction from you, and also who's going to be a standout on the offense and defense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Broncos.
Chris Godwin coming back. He's going to feast on the secondary. Totally see him being an integral part of this game plan. I think, honestly, a lot of the Bucs' woes on offense in the second half last week was because Godwin wasn't in. He's just that type of player where even when you make your adjustments, your second half adjustments, he still finds a way to get open. He still finds a way to make plays. So if they get him back this week, that's the guy on offense. Defense is going to be Shaq Barrett. Like I said, bold prediction, at least 2.5 sacks this week. He's going to have a big day. And then final score prediction, I've got the Bucs. Today's my 32nd birthday, so I got the Bucs winning 32-16. I got them scoring 32 points for me.
Oh, man, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
You're a Libra just like me. My birthday is Saturday, absolutely. So
nice.
Happy birthday, buddy. And, this may be the day where they have that point output with all the injuries that the Broncos have had. Evan Winter of Bucs Nation, go ahead and promote yourself before we get you out of here.
Find me on BucsNation.com. That's SBNation.com's Tampa Bay Buccaneers blog, at Evan_Winter, spelled exactly how it sounds. And that's EVAN. And then find me on RockyTopTalk.com as well if you like talking about Tennessee Volunteers.
All right, good stuff. Thanks a lot, Evan. Appreciate the time here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television, the Sports Web, powered by 320solar.com. All right?
See y'all. Thanks, guys.
Happy birthday, brother.
All
Thank
right.
you, man.
Happy birthday. There we go. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and take a commercial break. And then when we come back, we will have, I believe, Rick Hughes from the Cheap Seats. We'll try to get Blake Anthony of Sports Talk 49 on here. We'll rotate in and out. And, of course, we'll see if this phone line works on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. We'll be back.
Power bill through the roof? At 320 Solar, that power bill will be no more. In fact, about 90% of our customers report lower solar payments than with electricity. That's more power in your pocket. 320 Solar. Power up. Going solar with 320 may cost you nothing down. But the work we do is not a $0 job. With a 10-year roof penetration warranty and solar panels guaranteed for 25 years, you can have peace of mind knowing you will do the job right every time without question. .320 Solar. Power up.
Come to Sam Ash for hundreds of exclusive holiday deals on music and sound gear from the most iconic brands. Save big on professional and starter guitars, drums, digital pianos, horns, violins, DJ, and electronic production equipment. Supercharge your home studio with deals on podcasting, streaming, and AV equipment like speakers, microphones, headphones, and acoustic treatment. Plus, with 36 months no-interest financing on thousands of items, you can get the gear of your dreams right now. From our incredible selection and service to our lowest price guarantee for over 95 years, real musicians know you only go to Sam Ash.
All right, let's go back out to the phone lines. Let's see if we can get somebody on here. Who do I got on the line here? Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. I think it is. Can you hear me good? Can we hear? Hold on a sec. Hello. Hold on a sec. Yeah, we're just having a little bit of problems, I think, with our phone calls today. Do you think they're messed up? Okay, I think they're messed up too. So I don't know what's going on. So we'll figure this situation out here, guys. We're going to get Blake Anthony on here. I'll tell you what, let's go out to Mr. Rick Hughes from the cheap seats here. Welcome to the evolution, my friend. Driving and moving all over the place. How's that going for you?
I'm on my way to a watch party here in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice.
Already flipping over to the Panthers, are you? Just kidding.
No.
How you doing, Rick?
Great. Excited about today's game.
Yeah, definitely excited about today's game. And again, I think the Bucs are catching the Broncos at the correct time. All these injuries, that's not to say that the Broncos don't necessarily have some weapons, especially in a Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama, a Noah Fant, and even a Jeff Driscoll. I know it's crazy, but 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Well, these are trap games that you got to really watch out for. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to when people say Brady hasn't performed well in Denver, because that wasn't against Jeff Driscoll. That was against Peyton Manning, things like that. So I don't put a lot of weight on that, but I do think it's going to be probably a lower scoring game than maybe people are thinking.
Yeah, I mean, it very well may be a lower scoring game, because once again, this offense hasn't really been able to put it together. And I guess my question is this the day, Rick, in your opinion, that they finally do put it together?
Offensively, no, I don't think it is. I think
Okay.
I would say I'm going to say, like, if I'm taking a final score 24-14, I don't see how Denver's going to score. It's the same thing I said last week. I just don't. I don't see how they're going to score against his defense.
Tampa Bay Ray, you want to add anything to that?
I always shoot for the stars, but again, we're not going to talk about Jeff Driscoll. We're not going to say the reasons why. Hey, there's 53 guys on their team. There's 53 guys on our team. Their team is made up of professionals just the same as ours, and every one of those professionals is capable of having a breakout day. But that being said, I feel that today could be one of those breakaway games, and I want to compare it back. I kind of alluded to this in the post game last week. I know it sounds like I'm being way too optimistic, but like that Rams game last season where we scored 55 out in LA, but they put it all together, Rick, and I'm not saying that we're going to suddenly walk in and look like we should be in 55 yet. They still have a ways to go, like the other 32 teams, because even the teams that had that.
I love your passion, Ray. I love your passion. 16-0, Ray. I love that passion.
Well, I said 15-1, didn't I?
After week 1.
Well, no, I reserve the right to adjust on the fly.
Hey, listen. I love the passion, and here's where I'll agree with you. If there's going to be a blowout in today's game, the Bucs are not getting blown out. They would blow out Denver. So it's either going to be a close game or the Bucks are going to blow them out. It's not going to go the other way. So, I mean,
Yeah.
all signs look good.
I did the math. I just want to let you guys know I did the math on this, and I'm pretty sure I can make a bold statement. The team that scores the most points today is going to win.
Jeez. Such award-winning commentary right
That's
there. Good
what
stuff.
I Pulitzer Prize.
Still stick with the fact you can still stick with the fact that they're going to win at least 16 games. That you can say, hey, I was counting the playoffs too.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was meaning.
Yeah.
They're going to be
That
20 and
works.
up. 19 and up. 19
All
and
right,
up.
so you got a show that I don't know if you're going to be doing it tonight or not. How late it's going to be, depending on the pregame or the postgame situation. Although our phone lines are kind of messed up tonight, so I don't know if we're going to have many phone calls. We're going to try to get that worked out. But go ahead and tell everybody out there about From the Cheap Seats.
Yeah, it's we're talking Ducks football. We're talking about the game from the day. We're talking. It's just a good conversation. I love talking to football fans, and I mean that's what it's going to be all about. I'm just going to have a good time talking about the game today. Whenever 9 o'clock at the earliest, whenever at the latest.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. All right, so did you already give a prediction? If you didn't give a prediction, give me a prediction. Who's the
24-14.
What is it?
24-14.
Who's the standouts on offense and defense?
Chris Godwin, Shaq Barrett.
Chris Godwin, Shaq Barrett. Okay. All right.
What's the temperature there in North Carolina there, Rick? I know Charlotte.
It's warmer today. It's like 8 degrees today. It's supposed to be like 50 later on this week is a high.
Nice.
All right.
yeah.
All right.
We'll be up.
All right, buddy. Good
You
stuff.
guys have a great one. I'm gonna go enjoy hanging out with some Buckaholic here in Charlotte, watching the game,
Yes.
and yeah, we'll have a good time. Maybe
Well, I'll tell you what,
we'll
after
see.
the
Maybe
game,
I'll try to catch some video clips.
Absolutely. Well, after the game, I tell you right now, if you want to get on, instead of calling the phone line, get on the video line with the Buckaholics. We'll have them on here, all right?
That'd be great.
I'll see if we can pull that off.
All right, sounds good. Thanks a lot, Rick.
All right,
Appreciate
have a good one.
All
Take care,
right,
Rick.
good stuff. All right, so we are back here. We got Blake Anthony in the building. We'll get him back on here, give you some scores right now, just looking on the scoreboard. 17-9, Minnesota over Tennessee. Vikings coming into this game 0-2. Tennessee 2-0, so kind of a surprise here. We got a close
That's what
one.
Harry, my friend that was on a cup of Ray this morning.
Sure.
My gambling insider, he called it. He said Minnesota 0-2. Do they stay 0-3? You know, with the defense playing down. I mean, it's only 17-9, still early in the third quarter.
Yeah.
But that was a game he called out, and that's a good call, Harry.
Yeah, New England right now 13-10 over Las Vegas. Still difficult to say. Philly with Cincinnati, a battle of 0-2 teams. Philly winning 16-10 right now. Joe Burrow 14 for 20, 106 yards, a touchdown there. So
You know what's funny is
yes.
going back to that Atlanta, just Atlanta blow up last week. But for a minute there, when Atlanta had a 20-point lead over Dallas, and the way Philly and the way they're looking, didn't you just get that feeling again, like the NFC East was just going to be the NFC least again?
Yes.
And then that implosion of a defense that Atlanta has, they give it back to Dallas. They gave him a scant light of hope. Maybe Dallas takes that and runs a little bit, but that NFC East still looks to be the stepdaughter of the division of the NFC anyway.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'll throw out a prediction. I think the Saints are going to lose tonight to the Packers. The Bucs are going to beat the Broncos, and the Bucs are going to be in first place when all is said and done.
Viva Las Vegas.
There you go.
Take it.
All right, I'll tell you what, let's go out to Bruce Arians and his comments about the weapons that he's going to have to face this defense, especially against the Denver Broncos here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, powered by 320solar.com. Here we go.
Everybody's just getting a little more continuity. Mike didn't practice for 8-9 days, then Chris didn't practice for 7 days. It looked more like our offense in practice this week with everybody out there practicing, and we were more in sync. We're not where we need to be yet, but we're getting closer and closer.
Well, actually, let me get back to that. That was his thought process on where this offense was. So we'll get back to the weapons here. But, everybody is talking about Gronkowski and Evans and this offense struggling. But really what you don't take into account, and our own Johnny Dean, and I love him to death. We get into our little battles and stuff like that. I love the guy. We debate it.
The professor.
Yes, the professor. He is the professor. You could still call the show. We'll see if we can get you on here. You miss those reps. You miss those 400 reps. You miss training camp. You miss all that, and you expect this team to come out. And then on top of it, to combine it, Mike Evans is basically hurt.
Yeah.
Chris Godwin is now hurt. So finally, you have your full complement of weapons, and they're all seems like 100% healthy. So I feel like maybe this could be the day where we see those offensive fireworks. But at the end of the day, it may take a couple weeks. You're still winning football games because your defense is good enough to keep you in those games and stop the other team from scoring. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and like we said about the Buccaneers again. It's only third weekend, so we can still make this point. They won the offseason. On paper, they were 55 champion. On paper, they already are at Raymond James for 55. Just like last season, on paper, the Dallas Cowboys might have been handed to Lombardi in the preseason as well.
Right.
Just because you have the team that has the most stacked and deep weapons doesn't mean they mesh. And then you put together that, like Johnny Dean says, that lack of reps, that lack of live fire.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, as Buccaneer fans, you have that to look forward to. That as this team grows into, as the cocoon starts to open and the butterfly starts to appear, it might be a beautiful moth for the rest of the season.
Well, there you go. I don't know what you just said.
I have no idea either.
I'll just give you a fire the cannons because I'm completely confused. All right, so yes, I agree with that. Let's see if we can find those comments. In fact, let's go ahead and hear from Tom Brady on how he feels about this offense and where it's at here on the Evolution Sports Talk Television, live from the Deck Bar and Grill in Isla del Sol with Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy. I'm your host, Peter Blake. Here we go.
Yeah, I think I think it's pretty natural. The more you're together, the more you talk, the more you communicate, the more you practice, play together. The situations come up, and then so much is nonverbal communication. What did you see? What did I see? What do you? And as long as we both see it the same way, that's important. It's hard if I saw this or I saw this, and then mistakes happen. Unfortunately, it's just part of the learning process, And I think it's not like I played a lot of football. I have in my mind what I think's going to happen or what's happened for me over 20 years, and the conversation I've had. But unfortunately, I've never had those conversations with this group of players, and that's just part of it, So it's just the way it is, and you can't replicate, live game time reps. You've got to just do it on the practice field, talk through them. Unfortunately, when it happens in the game, you got to really take those to heart and learn from them, and try to improve them. But I love working with our group of receivers, our tight ends. We're off to a decent start. We've got to really build on it and try to make as many improvements as quickly as possible.
And they're going to definitely have that opportunity to make those improvements because of getting Chris Godwin back, and then also that Bronco defense giving up over 300 yards of passing last week to the Steelers. I'll stack those weapons up against the Steelers. I think the Bucs have more weapons. It just comes down to giving Brady the time to throw the ball. That's what it comes down to. And it's just that simple.
Yeah, and don't forget, they're at 5,000 feet. You're a mile high. So you're going to have the oxygen is going to be broken out. I would say Donovan Smith might need oxygen, but those concrete feet probably won't do much moving. But, yeah, you got those receivers going to be running down, and they're not going to be conditioned to it. So look for the Bucs to utilize those routes so that when they do run them, they can actually achieve them as opposed to just running them constantly, trying to just fool the defense. I look for the Buccaneers offense to be strategic and surgical as they continue to attack this Broncos defense today.
And look, they may not be the same offense they were last year because Tom Brady doesn't necessarily know the offensive playbook right now, but just give them some time. And if they have to kind of scale it down a little bit, or maybe, like you said, play it methodical, and for Brady to be a game-managing quarterback, that's okay as long as you have that running game. And I think that's the exciting thing about the Bucs this year is we talk about the offense's inability to get started, but with all that being said, they've still been able to put up 31 points last week. You put up, 23 points versus the Saints. So you have your problems there, but now you got a running game, and now you have those options. I'm
glad you make that point because I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw this out there. So far, in the passing game, the difference between last season and this season is that last season you had a quarterback who knew how to run for his life or had to run for his life and was able to. And I'm not saying Tom Brady can't run. He'll run that rock in. He'll take the ball, bring it down, and run for a first down.
Right.
But looking back on it now, the difference is now is Jameis could scramble around a lot more because he realized with his backside dance partner Donovan Smith, he was going to get 1.2 seconds to throw the ball. Tom Brady's going to have a running game, but then also Tom Brady will throw that ball away, so there'll be a lot more incompletion. So the yardage may not pile up as much, but also the chance of interceptions will go way down. So that also is going to increase your chances.
Listening to Bruce Arians this week, I thought we had the comments. We don't. He was talking about those weapons. We've already talked about Noah Fant and how much he could give difficulty to a Devin White and a Levante David, and because he is so athletic and because he can catch the ball and make space and everything like that. But you have a Jerry Jeudy, 4 catches for 62 yards last week. You have a KJ Hamler who is a speed merchant out of Penn State who can definitely stretch the defense. So once again, it's not like they don't have those type of weapons, and then also your defense has to be on the ball with the running game because of Melvin Gordon and what he can do. Tell you what, can we go ahead and get Blake Anthony and Philip Schwager? Let's go ahead and get Blake Anthony in here really quick, and let's talk about this defense. I know that he likes to talk about this defensive line a little bit, and we're live here on Bucks Report on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Join the 65,000 following we have here on Facebook, of course, live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and that Bucks Report Twitch channel. Let's go ahead and go out to Mr. Blake Anthony. You're not Ray Kennedy. You have to excuse the lower third of Sports Talk 49. Go ahead and talk about your show really quick to promote it in case they don't know you out there in Bucks Report land.
Yeah, every Monday and Friday at 3 p.m. Monday doing post game. That'll be post game to the Denver game, and Friday doing pre-game. It'll be Chargers next week.
Chargers next week, yes,
Yep.
a 1 o'clock game. First and foremost, I know we kind of talked about it before with this offense and their struggles, but really, could you see the tight ends working into this offense more in this game because Denver is so young on defense, namely at the linebacking situation?
Well, they have a pretty good linebacker at number 45, Alexander Johnson. He's pretty athletic. He can cover some of those tight ends, but it's all how they're going to play it. I know a lot of people are giving Gronkowski a lot of grief, but they are playing him to not do anything as well, so it should free up other people. So, they're going to, as I said earlier, they're going to have their opportunities, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and possibly, the guy that you need to be talking about is O.J. Howard. Where has he been? That's the way that the 12 personnel works is he's supposed to be the one that's supposed to be getting a lot of the predominantly of the passes, but he's been unable to create separation. He's got a couple pass interference penalties, but otherwise than that, he's been man on a milk carton for the most part.
Well, I think in Cameron Braid has been the same thing, and we would think that they would work those guys in there eventually at some point, but I think it also comes down to comfortability, and it also comes down to what Brady has talked about in his press conference where he's been with certain guys for so many years. He's been in New England for 20 years. So now with everything that happened off the field with the missed reps and missed opportunities in training camp, and he's talking to new guys, you still have to develop that chemistry. You have to.
In a way, there's a lot of missed opportunities, and that has nothing to do with missing 400 reps. Like last week, you was getting hard on Cyril Grayson dropping the touchdown pass. 400 reps has nothing to do with you being able to catch the ball. You should know how to do that. You wouldn't be on the team if you didn't know how to do that.
I agree with that.
Same thing with Scotty Miller. Same thing with LaShawn McCoy. Missing 400 reps has nothing to do with that. Catch the ball. That's what you were brought in here to do.
I said catch the ball. Yeah, absolutely. But then again, if those players would have that opportunity to have the training camp, but you're exactly right. You can't have that many drops. And according to Pro Football Focus, the Bucks have had the most drops, 8 drops out of any quarterback.
Touchdowns.
Right. You had 3 touchdowns last week.
Bucks put up 50 points, and we don't even have this conversation today.
Yeah.
If they catch those 3 they were touchdown passes. If they catch those.
Yeah. Scotty Miller, LaShawn McCoy, and Cyril Grayson.
Yeah.
Those are touchdowns right there. Most likely Brady is over 400 yards and a couple touchdowns, and that's what Coach Arians talked about this week. All right. Let's see if we can work these phone lines out. I don't know what's going on with them. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Melvin Gordon. Can the Bucks handle this matchup like they've handled the running backs the last couple of weeks with shutting down a Kamara and, of course, a Christian McCaffrey?
Absolutely. You're going to see, again, another week, you're going to see JPP dropping back in coverage a lot to help those underneath passes to the backs. So Shaq Barrett's going to have his hands full again, trying to get to the edge, which I heard you guys say earlier. They should have a pretty good day against Broncos right tackle on Shaq Barrett's left side, because I don't know if people noticed they switched sides this year as well. Last year, Shaq was playing on the right, and JPP was playing on the left.
Why did he do that? Why is that being done? Break that down. Why is the defense doing that?
Oh, well, it's their choice. They could switch between back and forth. Pierre-Paul actually prefer. I hear the phone line.
Yeah, I do too. So let's see if we can get them on here. Let's see if this will work the way it's supposed to work. All right, let's go out to, I believe this is Yaj. Yaj, you there? Can you hear him?
Yep, I hear him.
I think everybody can hear him, so I think we fixed the problem. Go ahead, Yaj. Looks good, huh? All right, good stuff. So what are you thinking today? Are you like this matchup with this beleaguered, injured team with the Broncos? I mean, they seem like they're coming in here, but we all know what they say. What a wounded dog is can be a vicious one. I don't know if they say that. I just think I came up with
good.
it. Okay. Yeah, no. You're definitely going to have to bring your A game today. You have Driscoll, who's a backup quarterback. We know that the Bucs defense hasn't necessarily done that well against against backup quarterbacks. So do you think the same thing happens today? And they're still saying they can't hear him, so I don't know what's going on.
Hear him on our end. I
yeah,
can hear him good.
I don't know what's going on. All right, I'm sorry. We're gonna have to let you go. I don't know what's going on, so we'll just.
Thanks for calling.
Well, yeah,
anyway.
thanks for calling anyway. Yeah, appreciate it. So if you guys want to get on the text line, we'll definitely take your text messages here, but phone line is not working. Sometimes that happens.
You can also add the link in there, and you can add them as
Yeah,
audio.
that's
really
what I'll
wanna
do.
that.
Well, that's what I'm going to do right now.
And while you're doing that, I'll just touch into a little bit what we were just talking about.
Sure.
They switch sides. It's their choice, Peter. They can switch either way. Shaq, that's normally the side he rushed in Denver, and he went back to that. So as Shaq said, it's going to be comfortability. Now you got to get used to doing those moves from the other side and the other leg and things like that. And Jason Pierre-Paul's played on the right side of the defense basically his whole career. So they're just going back to what they're normally used to doing. So it shouldn't really be an issue there. That could have something to do with the lack of production of sacks, but he's gotten pressures. Like I said, he's almost had an interception. So he's still getting production. It just doesn't show up in the stat column as far as sack.
Well, yeah, they're good. They got us on the PA system.
Perfect.
There. That's interesting. Okay.
So it's cool that they switch sides. And so it shouldn't be really an issue. It's their choice.
Right.
It wasn't really a Todd Bowles scheme. They could switch either side if they want to.
All right, we're live here from the Deck Bar and Grill in Isla del Sol, getting you ready for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Denver Broncos here. I'm your host, Peter Blake, live here on Bucs Report. It's the Sports Web, powered by 320solar.com, along with Blake Anthony of Sports Talk 49. I'm kind of curious on how many Bucs fans are in here right now. I wish they would make some noise just to let us know how many Bucs fans are in here. And they got to be looking forward to this matchup because, once again, the Broncos coming in this matchup with a second-string quarterback with multiple injuries. But we talked about Melvin Gordon. We also talked about Jerry Jeudy and Noah Fant. What else do you see with this team that could give the Bucs some problems?
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked. Well, the problems, you got KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy. As I said on my show earlier, it's going to be a Penn State show. There's a lot of Penn State players on the field today. You got left tackle Donovan Smith, Chris Godwin, KJ Hamler, and there's one more I can't remember. There's a lot of Penn State players on the field, but KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy are going to be their speed threats to get vertical and to go underneath routes. Also, I don't know if everybody noticed that you're playing two former Buccaneers. One's injured, one's not. Mark Barron is on the roster, and the other is Damar Dotson at right tackle. I don't know if you talked about that already.
We did not talk about Damar Dotson.
Damar Dotson is on that roster at right tackle, which the right tackle should be have problems with Shaq Barrett. Shaq Barrett should get his sack today on the right tackle because when I was looking at Pittsburgh's tape, a lot of their blitzes came from that side. So you should see Sean Murphy Bunting coming from that right side, and you should see Antoine Winfield Jr. blitzing from that right side, calling it early. You should see that blitz come from that right side.
Are you surprised at how well Winfield has played in this defense so early?
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have finally drafted guys to fit their strengths, and you're seeing a guy flourish what he's comfortable at doing. And then therefore you're reaping the benefits of getting these plays early by him. So that's great that you picked up a guy that fits your system. You're comfortable with him. He's comfortable with you. And I'm not surprised that he's flourishing because he's literally, his game is transcended from college to football with no really lack of talent, like lack of play there. He's not thinking before he's playing. He's just playing and doing his job.
All right, I tell you what, let's go out to Tampa Bay. Ray Kennedy, who's out there right now on the deck. What do you got, buddy? What's going on? How you doing?
Fine. So I've moved out here. We've got the 455-inch televisions out here. This place will be crawling with Bucs fans here in just a little while, getting ready for that 4:25 kickoff. I wanted to try the Wi-Fi so that we know we got a second shot. We have a third shot. Of course, we know we're going to be you got that new camera coming, Peter. So we'll have a second shot as early as hopefully next week, if not the following week. So I wanted to see how I sound. How do I sound, fellas?
Sound good. It came in a little bit loud there, but you're good now. This whole stuff is freaking me out.
Yeah, me loud, right? Who'd expect that?
Right, exactly. So we were just talking about the weapons. KJ Hamler is a guy that I think the Bucs should be concerned about, especially in that secondary. Even though they're so young, he definitely has that speed. Had some catches last week, and I feel like, quarterback's best friend to a certain degree can be wide receivers, especially ones that can basically break up can split his own defense in half.
Yeah, well, Blake, like we said when Leonard Fournette, when they went back to New Orleans and it was Leonard Fournette's homecoming, first time ever playing inside that Mercedes-Benz Dome, of course, having been grown up in the 7th Ward there in New Orleans and playing at LSU, had never played in a dome. But then we talked today about it being Shaq Barrett's homecoming, going back into Denver. And, of course, the last thing any coach, defensive or offensive coach, what Todd Bowles or Coach Arians wants is another team to know that we're going to feature someone. But do you see, Blake, do you see Shaq Barrett being allowed to free roam today? And if so, doesn't the pressure he apply there in the Denver backfield does that have some implication on what they're able to do in our secondary?
Well, Shaq's going to have free roam. He's going to get his opportunities. They're both, him and JPP are going to drop in coverage, try to help against the passing with Melvin Gordon. But the young quarterback, Jeff Driscoll, tends to look at Noah Fant a lot and looks for the back a lot. So those are two things that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers really need to key in on because once they take the first read away, he's going to rely on his legs. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Driscoll is very athletic. I don't know if you guys saw it. I posted it on Twitter the last time the Tampa Bay Buccaneers faced off against Jeff Driscoll in Cincinnati preseason game week 1, and he had an absolute show against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers practice squad and backup players in that game, running and throwing ability. Don't know if you guys remember that game, but Jeff Driscoll was very, very athletic.
Well, 1-7 in his career with his two respective teams. So, and even my uncle said, look, he was a Florida Gator quarterback. He was a failure as a Florida Gator quarterback. I always love to hear that from a Florida Gator fan. But we'll see what he does today. Again, put up some good numbers versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. But I almost certainly feel like, once again, Shaq Barrett is due to have a big-time game, especially because he's a former Bronco. He has no sacks right now. He could have 3 to 4 sacks when this game ends. Yeah,
he's going to get one today.
What do you say, Ray?
I think Shaq gets off today, and I know we've called it, like I said, I was working it back to Leonard Fournette. Oh, Leonard's gonna, we always like the romantic and the dramatic story. Leonard Fournette returns to New Orleans, rushes for 200 yards, and the Bucs beat the Saints. That didn't happen. We always liked, and then of course the Bucs have had their hearts broken by second string or non-starter quarterbacks. But this is not your granddad's Buccaneers team, and this defense, they're not going to let Driscoll get off today. They're going to do everything they can to stop him at the point of attack. Noah Fant at the tight end position. That's definitely something you have to watch out for because it's usually those slow drag routes across the middle that teams can have success. They're going to definitely, like Blake said, stop Melvin Gordon. So it's just exciting, guys. We're just an hour now, and we'll be live from Denver, and hopefully the Buccaneers are going to be 2-1 at the end of the day.
Yeah, 2-1 at the end of the day. That's exactly what a lot of Bucs fans want to see is this team get off to a good start because if you don't, first you have to basically dig out of that hole, which you don't want to do, which you did last year. And then on top of it, you have all these primetime games, which you want to show the national media that keeps on saying that basically Tom Brady is done. He's washed up. This offense can't get it together. They're a joke. It's all hype. You show those national media pundits with winning games, the more games you win, and the more you shut that national media up.
Absolutely, and it starts by Tampa Bay breaking that can't beat backups. I don't even know if we want to call it a curse.
Can't beat backups.
Yeah,
Right.
it can't beat backups.
Right.
It's been going on for so long, but I really anticipate Denver getting Jeff Driscoll on the move with a lot of motions by the wide receiver, a lot of boots, get you comfortable, get a rhythm going, take the pressure off them. Then you'll see in the third quarter, contain him early.
Well, you have to definitely contain him. You have to contain any quarterback, and you can't give, well, no matter what quarterback it is, more than 3 to 5 seconds to throw the
This
football.
one can run.
Right. Well, he can maybe run all day long, but you also have Devin White and Levante David, especially Devin White. Let's talk about Devin White. We kind of alluded to this in the offseason of how he could be the breakout player for this defense, and you see the tape from Christian McCaffrey already calling him
greatest,
the best in the league. I mean, what do we think about that, fellas? Is that high? It's high praise from Christian McCaffrey, but is it warranted?
He leads the league in tackles right now, so Christian McCaffrey is actually accurate. He leads the league in tackles as of before Sunday. Don't know if you guys talked about that, but he's number one in tackles.
Yeah.
Until today, don't know where he's going to finish after today, but Christian McCaffrey is right. That is much respect coming from a pretty premier player, Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Great athlete out of Stanford.
Sure.
Game transcended to the pros. They're using him as they should, and that's a lot of respect.
All right, let's
you guys know that Jay Devin has an affinity. He has a soft place in his heart for horses. Let's just hope that he doesn't carry that into Denver today and he tames those Broncos.
Oh, geez. You know, you really wanted to go. All right. So we're on the Sports Web, the evolution of sports talk television. Join the 65,000 following we have here on Facebook, of course, live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and that Bucks Report Twitch channel. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Anthony of Sports Talk 49, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay. We'll see if these phone lines can work. We'll see if we can get them working. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So going back to this linebacking core, Levante David, is he finally going to get his just due? I mean, the first two games of what you saw out of him, do you feel like he could be a Pro Bowl candidate?
He's always been that kind of guy. Just unfortunately, he plays for bad Tampa Bay Buccaneers team for years past. And you know what happens with that? A lot of decent players get overshadowed for bad play from everybody else. But he also had a lot of people forgot. He actually had another forced fumble last week on Robbie Anderson. The fumble earlier in the game that was caused by Levante David.
Yeah.
And he's one of those guys, other than Peanut Tillman for many years, are forcing turnovers by wideouts, which goes undershadowed along with his sacks and tackling. A guy pretty much does everything, man. Everything you can ask for. Contains quarterback. I remember he made a lot of great plays on last year's NFL MVP, Lamar Jackson, his rookie season. He forced a fumble on Lamar Jackson. He played really, really great his entire career here in Tampa, and I don't see that diminishing at all. So, yes, he is a Pro Bowl caliber player.
Yeah, again, this defense has been very impressive these first two games, although, look, the Saints, they held them under, 160 passing yards. Panthers, they gave up a lot of garbage yards. So they have an opportunity. I like this matchup. I really do. I like this matchup with the Broncos, but of course it comes down to how well is Donovan Smith going to play in this game?
Don't shoot yourself in the foot.
Brady upright. And don't shoot yourself in the foot. Don't turn over the football. Because we saw last week, which Bucks team are you going to see? Are you going to see the first half one against the Panthers where they went up 21-0, or are you going to see that second half one that couldn't get out of their way until Leonard Fournette basically closes out the game?
Yeah, tell me about it. You're fumbling on a freaking shotgun handoff and turning the ball over. That's embarrassing.
Whose fault is that? Is that Brady's or is that Ronald Jones?
The stat goes to Brady because the back never had the ball. But if you're asking me, it's Ronald Jones' fault. As I said, you got to put the elbow up. You put your thumb down, the elbow goes up. You have it down, ball goes to the ground. That's exactly what happened. Ronald Jones did not put his arm up. You should know that since Pop Warner football. They just had a mental error, and it cost the team possession.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Ray, do you want to get in here on the Sports Web? I don't know what you're saying.
He said Phillips on the other
Oh,
line.
Phillips on the other line. All right, let's go out to Philip Schwegler, editor-in-chief of Bucks Report here. And you got to practice on your sign language or something.
Yeah, hold up a sign.
Philip, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television, powered by 320solar.com.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, it's beautiful outside, by the way. Sitting out here right by the little, I guess on the deck here by the little water here, watching the traffic go by, the beautiful palm trees, man. Really happy to be out here.
No, absolutely. And I know that you were happy to see that first half Bucks team offense go up 21-0, but then after that, basically they were a shell of themselves until Fournette basically capped it off with the closing deal. So what kind of team are we going to see today versus this depleted Broncos defense that has all kinds of injuries, namely Von Miller?
Yeah, we definitely got to see the Buccaneers offense play an entire 4-quarter game. All right, we saw in week 1, they played a decent 2 quarters. Then we saw in week 2, they kind of put together 3 quarters, took off the 3rd quarter a little bit, really started to come back alive in the 4th quarter. We need to see a full on 4-quarter game from the offense. All right, we need to see them complement the defense, because I think the defense is really the rock that's been holding this team together. It's been the foundation over these last 2 weeks. And I really feel like if the Buccaneers can get all these playmakers on their offense together, talking about the Mike Evans, the Chris Godwins, the O.J. Howards, the Cameron Brate. Where the hell has Cameron Brate been this whole time? And, Rob Gronkowski, why not use all those weapons? I mean, you literally have the most weapons in the NFL. Why are we not using them all? I get the whole thing that Arian said, okay, Rob Gronkowski is a blocking tight end. We pay Mike Evans and Chris Godwin all this money to catch balls. You're paying Rob Gronkowski almost $10 million just to help out Donovan Smith on the left or Tristan Wirfs on the right. Put your pass catchers out. I think this is a perfect opportunity with the amount of injuries that Denver has right now, is to really test out what this offense can do fully. All right. We want to see single tight end sets. We want to see 5 wide receivers out. I want to see it all today, especially with how much depletion they have on the defensive side of the ball for the Denver Broncos.
And I think what it goes back to is the fact that you're helping out a rookie and a Tristan Wirfs, and that's what Gronkowski did versus the Saints, because of Cam Jordan is so talented. But, keep in mind, Tristan Wirfs has definitely held his own. I think he's played a lot better than Donovan Smith.
Yeah,
and that's where it comes down to, where you have to keep these tight ends in here to help out your offensive line. Then that eliminates those opportunities for those pass catching possibilities.
And, honestly, I think Donovan Smith might need more help on his side, with the Rob Gronkowskis, O.J. Howards. I think Tristan Wirfs has been a great draft pick so far. I mean, he held his own against Cam Jordan, like you just said. You go back and watch the tape. I mean, he had him pretty well matched up the entire game, and even going against last week against the Carolina Panthers. I really think that he is going to be the strongest point, I guess, on this offensive line as far as either side.
So no concern right now about Gronkowski. I know you talked about his big time salary, but do you think he will get those opportunities today in the red zone?
I think he needs to. Either Rob Gronkowski or Cameron Brate or O.J. Howard. I mean, you got these 3 amazing catch-patching tight ends. Well, O.J. Howard is still on the up-and-coming on that. But you had Cameron Brate led the league here in touchdowns by tight ends not even 2 years ago. And then you have one of the best tight ends to ever play the football in Rob Gronkowski, and he's got 4 catches on the season or whatever it is. You need to get these guys involved, especially in the red zone. Get those mismatches up, especially Rob Gronkowski. He's a big dude, all right? He's a big dude. He can take up some space. He can take on some extra guys. He can make some area for the ball to be placed. And you have Tom Brady throwing you the ball. All right, you don't have to worry about ball placement. The guy's going to put the ball where he needs to on the money, as long as you catch it. All right, let's not have a repeat of what happened last week against Carolina Panthers, but definitely get those guys involved. Definitely from the 20 to the goal line. I think can really do a lot of damage to Denver today.
Blake, were you surprised to see that mishap by Brady trying to find Gronk? Because all we heard about was how Brady has this chemistry with Gronk, and yet he was trying to go to him, and Gronk is not even looking for the pass.
Yeah, it was just Gronk was a half. That's goes back to tell you that every half second in the game matters, and he turns his head a half second earlier, he catches that pass, or at least has an attempt to. But I think Brady was getting pressured on the play and maybe forced the ball a little half second early, but that's nothing to be too concerned about. But as Philip said, Cameron Brate was one of the most pass catching touchdowns as a tight ends in the league. He was only second to his teammate, Rob Gronkowski, who are now lacking touchdowns. So as I broke down in understanding the 12 personnel, if you really want Rob Gronkowski to succeed in this offense, O.J. Howard has to show up. Because if the offense is made for Rob Gronkowski to block, as he described in his meeting, O.J. Howard has to catch passes if you want Rob Gronkowski to succeed. If O.J. still can't find ways to get open and make the simple catches that he should catch, you're going to continue to see Rob Gronkowski stay back there blocking and getting hit from the line of scrimmage every time he comes out for a pass route. So these guys have to show up to help everybody else succeed. That's why it is a team game. Everybody has to produce when you get those one-on-one matchups.
You watch a lot of film on Gronkowski. Do you feel like he still has it? Is he still injured? Has he lost a step, in your opinion?
There's a yes to all those questions. He lost a step. I mean, it's coming back, getting back in the swing of things. He's mentioned it in his meetings at camp. Oh, man, I had to feel like how it felt to get hit again. It felt good. Remember all that in camp? Sure. So it's going to be the same in the game. You can't simulate in the game time situation versus a practice. So everything is still getting back into the swing of things, being on a new team, finding your niche. What are you good at now? Being later, coming off your injuries, coming back, getting healthy. And the thing is that I like is he's not freaking out about it. He knows his role. And if it's helping him by blocking as he did last week against the Panthers, he was the one that sealed that block for Ronald Jones to score that touchdown. He cleared out that whole right side and led Ronald Jones to get a score. So when people say he's not producing, yes, on the pass catching ability, but he is helping other people do their job.
Right.
That's essentially what Arians is trying to get at. Like, you have other responsibilities that don't show up on a stat sheet that you do help contribute to winning and moving the chains and getting first downs. But O.J. Howard is the key. If he succeeds, you will see more passes coming Rob Gronkowski's way.
Okay. Is that what you think here, Phil?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, the guy was out of football for a whole year. He's slowly getting back into it. You can see it, but, the Buccaneers need help on the offensive line. That's where he's got to be sometimes. He's got to do the dirty work, the work that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, when fans go to do their little stat sheet checks at the end of the game here. So, I mean, talking midseason, I'm sure Rob Gronkowski gets it going. But, I think today is definitely that day to say, hey, but what does Gronk got right now? What is Gronkowski doing week 3? What can we look forward to?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it all comes down to. And I think a lot of people kind of just losing their minds on the whole deal with Gronkowski getting his touches, this offense, starting off slow. But, the thing is that Brady is playing in a new offense. He's learning a difficult offense, which, by the way, has a propensity, Leo word, where quarterbacks throw a lot of interceptions.
Which he has 4 turnovers already in 2 games, am I correct, right? Three interceptions and a fumble, right?
Right.
I think that the part that everybody needs to focus on is it's not Rob Gronkowski, a guy who was basically retired and came back. Is Scotty Miller needs to show the hell up. He was the guy that everybody was so excited about in camp, had the most continuity. Tom Brady praised him, and he's not making the plays that he needs to make in these games.
Yeah.
And if he shows up last week, the offense doesn't struggle that much with all the receivers. We don't have these questions about the importance of Chris Godwin not being there. Justin Watson's not going to be there, so who's going to be the 4th guy now when these other 2 are going to get attention? So somebody else has to show up, Peter.
Well, that's the issue today. Justin Watson is going to miss, and he's very important on special teams. Scotty Miller injured throughout the week, so is it time where we?
This one thing too.
Yes.
The kick returner. Did we talk about that? Kenny John Barner getting activated.
We did not talk about that.
You may bring up a good point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, Phil. You lose Justin Watson for the week. Scotty Miller is limited. So is this Tyler Johnson time? Because Sorrell Grayson, when he had the opportunity last week,
Yeah, I do think Tyler Johnson gets on the field at some point today. You still have to look at what Denver has left on the defensive side of the ball. They have 2 pretty decent safeties back there, so you don't want to put too much pressure on Tyler Johnson right off the bat. Maybe if they get a big lead, maybe that's sometimes you start giving them a little more wide receiver reps there. But I don't see them going right to Tyler Johnson in the beginning. Then again, I really don't know what he's been looking like in practice, right? We're really limited to what the Buccaneers show throughout the week or whatnot. So I don't know. It could be a big surprise. Tyler Johnson could blow up like the rookie from Minnesota right now. So you never know. We'll see what happens.
We'll definitely see what happens. I'll tell you what, let's get you out of here. We'll get on our guest, the Atomic Blonde, Sarah Ingalls. Thanks a lot. We'll get back to you in a moment. All right, Phil?
All righty, brother.
All right, stand by. So we will go out to our guest here on the Sports Web. We had her a couple weeks ago, the Atomic Blonde, Miss Sarah Ingalls. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television, and tell everybody about this podcast that you do about the Atomic Blonde here on the evolution of Sports Talk Television.
Good morning, MC. Well, you can see behind a beautiful golf course in Colorado called Lone Tree.
Okay.
Club, and that is actually where we're having an ALS charity golf fundraiser tomorrow morning. We're going to be here bright and early at 6:30 in the morning, so I am sneaking in a little quality drive time, not to just say that there's some prizes that I want, but I got to show up, right? I cannot miss the ball. So
absolutely,
I do a lot of tough talking, so really need to be able to make sure I can back it up, right?
Absolutely. A women's perspective here on football with the Atomic Blonde. What do you think the last couple weeks here? Much has been made about this Bucs offense and their struggles. I mean, they're going to get it together, right?
Well, I am going to say, and you know the stats better than I do, but is not the Denver Bronco the one team that terrific there does not have a winning stat on? Is that correct?
That's correct. He's 4-7 lifetime against the Denver Broncos, but I think maybe that has to do with the fact of Von Miller, Peyton Manning, maybe just a little bit.
Maybe, but that's
Maybe.
only, by the way, is the Denver Broncos. That's it. I mean, that does say a lot for Tom, right? I mean, that's pretty incredible. But as much as I love my Broncos, I have to say us, 0-2. Now you guys 1-1. I mean, obviously it takes a little bit to get a team really flushed out, right? And have that leadership in there. And I really see that happening. So I'm hoping that we pull this one out, but I'm not sure it's going to happen today.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's going to happen either because the Bucs are basically catching the Broncos at the right time with all the injuries. And then on top of it, you lose your starting quarterback in Drew Lock.
I know, right? And it's like one thing after another. And then we got the fines for the mask thing last week. So that just adds a little insult to injury.
Yeah, I mean, that went across the league. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure. What did you think about all those fines for coaches not wearing masks when they're basically tested every day and they're on the field? I get it. You want to have the safety precautions, but did the NFL go a little bit overboard with those fines?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I'm not in charge of all of those people, thank goodness. Healthcare company, 1,000 people, that's enough. So for my healthcare side, there's certain obviously procedures and things that the Department of Health puts in that isn't up to us. So I'm assuming that there are protocols that really aren't up to the NFL that someone higher up is making. I would be very curious to know, what was it, $100,000 that the coaches had to do and $250,000 that the teams had to put in. And it's 5, if I'm correct, across the team. So that's a lot of cash. And I would be curious, I know it goes to charities, but do you know what charities that goes to? Because that's the one thing I don't think any of us have heard.
It goes to the National Football League charity, which is Fifth Avenue, because they got to put more money in their pocket with all the fans not showing up to the stadium. Speaking of fans showing up, are you guys starting to get back to normal? I know you have some fans there down here in Tampa. They had the announcement yesterday where they were going to have limited fans next week and then most likely 20 to 25%. Are you guys coming to that same conclusion with your fan situation with the Broncos?
Yeah, I think we're around 1,000 at this one, but our numbers went up a little bit with the introduction of colleges back on campus.
Okay.
We'll see kind of what that does. I think that may make a difference on how much more they continue to open up based upon overall Colorado numbers. So we'll have to see. I think it'd be very hard, though, to coach a game in a full mask and not, rip that off when you're excited or when, there's so much lip reading, right, that happens. That's got to be a little bit of a challenge. Even though they have the mic, it's still something that happens on those sidelines.
And Blake Anthony's got a question for you. Blake, go ahead.
I said, how do you think Jeff Driscoll is going to do today? Taking on the load, being the starter, coming in with Drew Lock coming out with an injury. How do you think he's going to perform?
Can you get it done today? I mean, he had 250 passing yards last week
the
versus the Steelers, 2 touchdowns against the Bucs defense. Can he do it again?
I don't know. I am going to say this. I think he's got some experience on the field, in comparison to maybe some, newer quarterbacks. But I think, pressure in the game is something different. We know it's highly psychological. And I think, going up against Brady, especially when you have so many injuries on the team and you feel like you're kind of already, behind the 8 ball. I don't know. I'd like to think so. I'd like to think that, that he and the team can rally and really pull out what our Nuggets did, which, was do a lot more than anyone thought they would. So I don't know. We'll see. It's a little chilly here today. And I know I saw some things on your guys' last podcast that everyone was talking about the altitude and whether or not that makes a difference. And I'm going to tell you kids, it does. So I'm going to disagree with those folks there that said it doesn't make a difference because maybe they stopped at an airport. There's a big difference between, kind of staying in the city and moving slow and, going right up into the altitude and playing, depending upon, how long you've been here to acclimate. So I'm really hoping that our altitude kind of kicks some of your team down too. Sorry.
That's all right. We're on with Sarah Ingalls. The Atomic Blonde has the Atomic Blonde podcast here on the Evolution Sports Talk Television, powered by 320solar.com. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Blake Anthony of Sports Talk 49. Go ahead and get into it just a little bit on what the effects are and how the elevation is going to affect these professional football players.
Well, being in healthcare, right, we see a lot of that where people come in and think, I'm perfectly fit, I'm healthy, I'm athletic, but the air is different. And unless you've kind of conditioned in that, especially we've got... So I don't know if you can see kind of the haze behind me. Like it might almost snow, but it's cold, but it's in the 60s. It's not, it's fires. And that adds extra, elements to allergies, to lung, to breathing capacity, along with the high altitude. So, not only is that going to affect our team, but I do think that that's something, because, we're not in a stadium, obviously it's open air. That might be something that might give some players, a little bit of discomfort. So we'll see if that works. But, I think a lot of, like, Tom Brady's been here before. A lot of players, they've acclimated. I don't think it's going to be that big of a hurdle for them to get over, but it might be just one extra thing that, the Broncos need to really have an edge up. And with all their injuries, we'll take anything we can get right now. Anything.
Absolutely agree with that. So with all that being said, how cold is it there, by the way?
60, but it feels like 56 because there's absolutely no sun and some wind. So where you guys had your weather difficulties with the hurricane stuff a couple weeks ago, we're definitely in a little bit of the Colorado fall, which is great. We're thrilled.
Well, it's basically, sometimes here 92 degrees feels like 102. You put your head in an oven and that's what it feels like. Or we have the torrential rain with the tropical systems coming in and out here the last couple of weeks. So I would take some 60s in a heartbeat. What's your prediction on this score against the Broncos versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Yeah, I've got some folks in here for the golf tournament, like I mentioned. One of them owns Dead Horse Whiskey. He's sitting next to me, and so there's some whiskey tasting going on.
I would like some of that.
I bet you would, Blake.
His little beat. This is Mark Green, the owner of Dead Horse Distillery. What's your take, Mark?
Being honest with you, I think it's going to be a problem with the elevation guys.
Well, and that's certainly a possibility. I mean, Brady's record and with some players having that problem with it, but I think it's going to take a little bit more than just elevation to give this defense the trouble. I think the defense will give.
We're going to be up by I'm going to say we're going to be up by 1 touchdown, and I'm being optimistic. I get it, but home team. What's your?
No, I'm going to go ahead and go with the Broncos, guys.
Okay.
All right.
Being honest with you, I'm a Patriots fan, so. Losing Brady was kind of hard on me, but I just I don't think he's ready for the Broncos.
I just don't think he's ready for the Broncos. All right, we'll see. Even without Von Miller, I mean, you still have Bradley Chubb, but they still have Von Miller.
It's going to be tough because again, I mean, it's how much of the game is about defense or how much is about offense, right? Or a combination of both. And unfortunately, for us, a lot of our game has been about defense. So. We'll see. But again, I think getting a quarterback maybe who hasn't been, injured right now, or at least so far, knock on wood. I know we just drafted another one just in case. So I think backup at this point.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go try out. It can't hurt, right? And they might have an opening, so you never know, right?
Well, they just signed Blake Bortles this week, but I would not expect him to play Atomic Blonde. Once again, go ahead and promote this great cause that you guys are doing there in Colorado.
Absolutely. So ALS, which is Lou Gehrig's disease, which a lot of people know about. In fact, very unknown but true data. A fact is that head injuries, so a lot of veterans and a lot of football players get ALS. And it's a terminal disease. And we are doing a fundraiser, golf tournament. We can have some social distancing outside to raise money that goes directly back to patient care. It's all about quality of life. So ours is living your best life. The Atomic Blonde, you can follow me on Instagram, the Atomic Blonde CO. And it's all about charity. It's all about good causes. It's all about giving back and being kind. And in a world right now that is full of, I'm going to say, maybe a little negativity and a little bit of intense reaction to each other, it does the body good to just be a little bit kind. So, and my healthcare company, People Care Health Services, is the one that's also sponsoring this. So shout out to all those guys. It's been a lot of work. We pulled this off in 30 days. We thought we were going to only get 12 teams. We've got 21 teams out. We've got a platinum sponsor, a whole bunch of other sponsors. It's going to be a great time for good cause.
All right, good stuff. Amen, by the way, on that whole statement of too much negativity in society. That's why we have you on here, Atomic Blonde, on the Evolution.
Margarita today, because even though it's still chilly, we're not ready for pumpkins and all that stuff quite yet. It's not October 1st. So I'm going to hold on to summer as long as I can, boys.
Amen.
All right, enjoy that margarita, the Atomic Blonde, Sarah Ingalls. Thanks a lot for your time here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, powered by 320solar.com. All right?
Have a good one.
See you next week. I would say go Broncos, but I'm not going to do that.
That's all right. No, and we're going to have a little contest at some point, or a little bet on the side. Because
good. I like it. I like bets. I usually win them.
Oh, well.
All right. Hey, there's always a first time for everything, right?
Exactly.
All right. Good stuff. Thanks a lot. There you go. I like her a lot. She's feisty. I like how she gives me the business sometimes.
Well, she's awesome, especially when she talks about positivity. Because negative energy seems to get more limelight than positivity. So I think Miss Ingalls brings up a great point. That's why I always want to do charities with Bucks Report. I'll be doing a giveaway for breast cancer awareness coming up next month. We'll be giving a giveaway for people who donate to breast cancer awareness, and we'll talk about that later at a time. But it's awesome what she says about positivity, trying to bring that over negative energy. It's just so draining with negative energy constantly.
Yeah,
and it's great to get around with football and talk about things that you like and enjoy, to get your mind off of those bad things that you got going on in your life. So I really enjoy her energy here, and plus the sports talks that she brings.
Oh, absolutely. She definitely brings a different perspective about it, and she had some good points about the Broncos. Certainly possible with the elevation affecting this team because they're not used to it. You look at Brady's record. They've talked about it. We're looking right now. We're watching this game. It looks like
Safety.
Derek Carr. Is it a safety?
A touchdown.
I thought he got in here. We got a game going on. Speaking of positivity, let's go out to our editor-in-chief here. I don't know what's going on with your what's going on? What you got, a black hole sun there?
Yeah, man. We moved a little bit. It was a little sunny out over there, so we moved a little bit, try to get a little cooler so I can actually keep my eyes open and not keep them closed while I'm talking to you the whole time.
That's good. We'll fix this. We'll have this all fixed up here eventually. We'll have the 4K camera next week, right before my birthday, and then we'll have the older camera on the second shot. So I know you want to make some points here, but anything to add, Phil, to what she was saying? Does she make some good? She makes some good points, right? Does she convince you the Broncos can beat the Bucks?
I don't know. Broncos are too depleted, to be honest with you. I just think the Buccaneers defense is way too hot right now for them to lose this game. So, but she makes some good points. I'll give her that. But I think this is the Buccaneers' game to lose, I guess you could say.
Well, I agree with you. And Blake, you want to make some points here. Let's get out to Blake Anthony of Sports Talk 49. Go ahead, bud.
They do still have leadership even with the injuries. You still have Chubb. You still have Alexander Johnson, Noah Fane, Melvin Ingram. and then the two safeties you got back there, Kareem Jackson and Justin Simmons. So don't think that they're that depleted. As far as that, they're going to find ways to rally together. Now, the other point on the elevation, she's right. Like, you can't really take, somebody's word that's just sat in the airport that's not running or doing anything on elevation. So I go to a guy who's played in it for a couple of years, and that's Shaq Barrett. And Shaq Barrett said, well, as you know, Shaq Barrett's pretty, honest about what he says. He says, yes, it's a factor. He said, when you come out there, you're winded. He said, so if you're not,
Yeah, we're getting wind there. We're getting wind. We had wind, sun, and no sun. I don't know what's going on there. Tampa Bay Ray being the weatherman there, trying to set up the shot. We got Phil back there. You're in a wind tunnel there, Phil. What's up?
Big man. So we had the fan going, but I guess the fan's bringing too much interference there.
I'm telling you, the outside shot is tough sometimes. Let's Florida.
Hey, that's what it's all about, though, having fun. That's what we're doing.
That's it, absolutely. Live from the Deck Bar and Grill. And let me go ahead and get real close here, right? What other Bucks platform? What other Bucks platform gives you the opportunity to be a part of the evolution of sports talk television? Look, I get it. You want to tailgate? You can tailgate if you want to, or you can come to the Deck Bar and Grill in Isla del Sol, be a part of the evolution of sports talk television, get on the camera, meet Blake Anthony, meet Philip Swagler, meet Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy, yours truly, see the great staff here at the Deck, eat great wings, have a good time, and somewhat be cool in this situation. There's not another Bucks platform that's doing it while also usually having phone calls today, although the phone line is taking a crap. So we'll try to figure that
elevation.
out. Yes, it probably is the elevation. Yeah, you're a jerk. How about that? All right. So, yeah, guys, definitely get out here to the Deck Bar and Grill and keep on tuning in to the Bucks Report here live on the evolution of sports talk television, the sports web. So, great opportunity for fans to get out there. Well, and I think we're going to see our fair share of fans come out and get ready to watch this game and see if the Bucks can go 2-1. And I think they got a great opportunity, guys, to go 2-1. And you have to. This is one of those games where, like Phil said, you got to win it. So let's see if we can get Ray Kennedy on here. Tampa Bay Ray, welcome to the evolution.
I got nothing.
Tampa Bay Ray, you there? Hold on a sec. Let's turn up the volume maybe. Maybe that'll work. Hold on, Tampa Bay Ray. We got to love that. Ray, you there?
He's trying.
Yeah, he's definitely trying. I heard something there. I think it's Tampa Bay Ray. I don't think it's my phone line. Let's see.
It might be Ray.
Tampa Bay Ray, you there?
He's in Denver. Too much elevation.
He is in Denver.
It's an elevation.
Elevation.
Everything
All right.
today is elevation.
Wow. All right, go ahead, Blake.
Yeah, Shaq Barrett said it himself. It's a factor. He said, you're going to be winded. He said in the first quarter, he said, then you'll kind of set in. He said, but if guys who's not conditioned right, it's going to put a hurting on you. So we'll see how that factors in for guys who's never played up there before or playing that Colorado weather. So we'll see how it is. The only part that scares me about elevation, reminds me of the Steelers player, Ike Hilliard, I believe it was, that had medical issues with playing in that elevation. I just hope it affects nobody that much out there. I can hear the phone ringing.
I can hear the phone ringing too. I just hope they can hear the phone ringing. That's what it comes down to.
Can you hear that, Phil?
Can you hear it, Phil?
I can't. I just hear you guys' beautiful voices.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Well, we got Tampa Bay Ray calling in here, so we'll see if we can get him back on. Let's see if we can get him on. Well, we got the answer machine from Ray Kennedy. So, what's he doing? I think
Throwing out some elevation.
I think he died.
Would you shut up?
Oh, I love that. I love that. And if you really make me mad.
That's the difference.
Yes.
The boo is over the top.
Yes, and then we got this right here.
Playoffs? What are you talking about? Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Yeah, exactly. Playoffs. So, yeah. I look at the scores right now. 23-16, Cincinnati over Philadelphia. Philadelphia could be 0-3.
Here comes Hurts.
You've got San Francisco with all the injuries they had, 36-9 over the New York Giants. You've got the Atlanta Falcons with a 26-16 lead over the Chicago Bears.
We know
They're coming back.
Cleveland winning 34-20. Pittsburgh 28-21. What's going on and who's in the background here? You got Minnesota who just took the lead over Tennessee so the Bills scored.
Yeah, they scored
So the Bills are going to win that game. They're going to go to 3-0 here. So
15 seconds left.
Yep, there you go. So they just scored. So not many surprises around the league. I think my big-time surprise here, guys, is the Philadelphia Eagles and their struggles, but it comes down to the injury situation with their offensive line. It's not very good.
They need to bring back Nick Foles to Philadelphia.
Well, I heard Foles started today for Chicago. So
Yep, he went in there for Trubisky, which I didn't get to see the game, so I don't know what's going on, but it didn't look like Trubisky was doing that bad. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but definitely I want to talk about the Bills real quick. This is a team last year, with the playoffs and everything, and really started to see their defense, and now Josh Allen's really starting to come on. I mean, he had a pretty decent season last year, but like Ray Kennedy said earlier, that might be your AFC team going into the playoffs you might want to look out for, especially with Josh Allen having that hot hand right now.
Well, I tell you right now, you watch out. You're exactly right. And I think the big thing for me talking about Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs coming from Minnesota was, were they able to develop that chemistry? And the answer is a resounding yes. They've been able to develop that chemistry. Kid had 417 yards last week. I don't know how many yards he has this week. Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy walking around there. I don't know. I guess he'll go back to that shot. We'll get him on there. But, of course, Atlanta blowing that lead. They had a big lead in this game.
Later.
And again, the Buffalo had just scored. So Croft with the 3-yard reception for a touchdown. So 35-32 there. And Pittsburgh coming back and beating Houston, which also had a big lead early. Yeah. They're 0-3. Not a surprise there. Yeah. Minnesota 30-28. Looks like Tennessee trying to come back in that game.
And the Raiders are getting out coached against New England.
Yeah, I mean, New England, that's the team right there. All those teams. 2-1 for New England, 3-0 for the Buffalo Bills. And what do you guys think about Cam Newton?
He's healthy. He's looking like old Cam Newton. That's really the story of this. He's smiling. He's having a good time, and you're seeing it. They lost the game by literally a yard.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's nothing to really freak out about. Seattle made a great stop, and they otherwise than that they could be 3-0.
I agree.
Yeah, I think he's definitely playing his brand of football here in New England, which is rare because you saw Tom Brady there in New England for 20 seasons. So I definitely think it's refreshing for him. I think he might feel more at home with what he does, what his abilities are, and they're really showcasing them.
And we just got an update here. The Bears have just scored again, according to Dan.
We just said that.
So it's 26-22 now.
Tune in later.
Atlanta, and I picked Atlanta in this game after trashing them because I felt like they needed to win, just like the Philadelphia Eagles, and both teams could be 0-3. Deadman over. And I told you about the Houston Texans and how bad they were going to be.
When they traded away everybody, but I mean, I think everybody, like you said, nobody second guessed that one. They saw that coming. And I just want to say one more thing on the Cam Newton situation on the part that you've made 1,001 times. Look what happens when you go from Tom Brady to Cam Newton. Why is that, you say? Because you fill a system that best fits your quarterback.
Correct.
So you're saying if I make adjustments to how my quarterback plays, my offense will have success.
Yes.
Crazy how that turns out.
It's absolutely nuts. And it looks like the Tennessee Titans have just taken the lead over the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, boy.
The majority of that game was led by the Vikings. We're showing the Bills touchdown right now versus the Rams, who surprisingly started out 2-0.
I think we're starting to see the no preseason thing is starting to go away. We're starting to see these teams really battle it out and see what their strengths are going against some of their divisional play, conference play, whatnot. So definitely a lot of great games on right now that are going to be ending here soon. So great Sunday for football. Would have been a better Saturday if the Stanley Cup came home, but
absolutely
definitely enjoying Sunday so far.
Yeah, we could definitely talk about that just a little bit. I think the Lightning gave everything they had in that game, playing back-to-back nights there, going to overtime. But once again, you can't give the other team those opportunities.
No. Easy goal, too.
Yep, easy goal. You can't give them the opportunities. They outshot them. I thought they played well. You just take your hat off and say you live to fight another day. You play in game 6.
On Monday night, yeah, and I think the Lightning had a lot of opportunities down there in the first overtime and in the second overtime. It just all of just being tired. I mean, playing back-to-back games, both going into overtimes. This past one on Saturday going into double overtime. I mean, those guys were tired. You can see, some of the Dallas Star players were very, very tired, sitting against the wall, battling over the puck. But the Lightning had the opportunities. I think they're going to go back and watch the tape, and Monday they're going to bring it. They're going to bring that Stanley Cup home. That's my bold prediction for Monday night here.
I like it. And, of course, we'll be on Monday night with the Tampa Bay sports broadcasting legend, Mr. Al Keck. 40 years of sports broadcasting experience, WTSP Channel 10, WFTS Channel 28, who was on this morning on 102.5 The Bone. I joined him for some segment there on talking about the Bucks and the Broncos, so definitely catch him on Sundays. And, of course, catch him on Mondays with me and on the Al Keck Show Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock here exclusively. Well, not exclusively, but exclusively on streaming on Bucks Report. So,
absolutely. It looks like Atlanta might give up this game again. I predict somebody might be getting fired if they lose this game to Chicago.
Well, if you lose after having a big lead,
2 weeks.
I don't see how Dan Quinn.
I think this is it.
Are we surprised, guys, with all the injuries that have happened earlier on in the season? Is that just the NFL, or is it because of all the reps that they missed, all those opportunities?
I definitely think it's the missed opportunities with the reps, like you just said. It takes a while for your body to get conditioned. All right. A little backstory. I was in the active duty Army for 7 years, and I went into basic training straight out of high school in September. I was a little heavier guy. It took me a long time to get into Army shape, as you call it, and you have to maintain that. Definitely the preseason. That's when you start to get into football shape. All right, you have your training camp and all that stuff to get you, I guess, acclimated to playing football. But then you get into football shape with the preseason games. That's why I think they're kind of important. Kind of looking back on it now here in 2020 when they didn't have any preseason games. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of injuries. Some of these muscles they don't normally use during the week when they're just at practice, and they're actually using it in a real game. And I think some of the stuff's given out on them. And I really think not having a preseason is what's could be a factor into all these injuries.
I don't know who this guy is, but we're just going to give him that right there. Exactly. I don't know what he's doing in the background there. You want to get on the mic?
No, I just want to say a narrative for you guys, right? Atlanta was up 17 points. Chicago came back. It's 26-23, but the note here was Mitch Trubisky was replaced halfway through the game by Nick Foles, who's now got the Bears on the cusp of a comeback, and Atlanta's on the cusp of folding a second week in a row.
Well, Nick Foles, to me, should have been the starter from day one. I mean, and the only reason why Nick Foles doesn't start is because of all the missed repetition, in my opinion. You don't trade for Nick Foles, who, by all accounts, look, Super Bowl MVP, never played a full season, but when he needed to play, he was productive. I still think he's a better quarterback than Mitchell Trubisky.
I can't argue that, especially with a Super Bowl under your belt. So I agree with you on that. And if he comes away with this victory, I think he'll be the starter from here on out.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's certainly possible. Are we surprised by somebody says Carson Wentz about ready to see the bench? That's from Mike
Oh,
E.
yes.
For Dave Hurts?
Yeah, I've been saying that for I think since they drafted Hurts there this past April. Carson Wentz, I mean, you did great. You got your team somewhat to the Super Bowl that year, and Nick Foles came here and finished the job. But you're injury prone, man. This is a business, all right. You got to produce. They're paying you all that money. You got to produce those numbers for them, all right. You can't just sit here and take their money and just get hurt and not play well. I mean, they at some point they have to let Hurts come in and kind of see what he's got. They definitely spent a high draft pick on him. So let's see what he can do.
Yeah, well, let's see what he can do. But once again, you spend all that money on Wentz, and if he's not your starting quarterback and you decide to go to a Jalen Hurts, then what does that say about your decision? It's not very good. So I'm not right, but I'm not sure if anybody trades for that big time salary. And there's a lot of look. I like Carson Wentz, but I don't think he's been able to do what? Stay healthy. So what do you want to say? Availability is what is it?
Is your best ability.
Best ability.
And
he hasn't been able to have that.
You get 8 games and out with Carson Wentz. It seems like counting all that guaranteed money seemed to put a hurting on his health. So Jalen Hurts will come in with Philadelphia normally is used to having a mobile quarterback out there like a Jalen Hurts type guy that can ad-lib on the play. I think he'll bring a spark to this Philadelphia team that's left with Nick Foles.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. I'm watching the game right now. I'm just
Oh, it's
looking.
amazing. Every time you look
26
at
to
it.
23.
Bears
Atlanta,
has the ball.
and Bears have the ball, and they're driving right
In
now.
scoring
so
position.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So I'll tell you what, I think we should just wrap it up, give our predictions out, let the guys breathe a little bit, maybe eat some wings, enjoy the festivities here live from the Deck Bar and Grill. So, Phil, let's go out to you first with your prediction. Who wins and why?
And that's Cedric behind you.
All right, yeah, I got Buccaneers winning this game. I think easily, 35-10. I think the defense is going to be too much for Jeff Driscoll to handle, especially missing some of his key receivers and whatnot. I think Melvin Gordon is going to be held in check this week. If Devin White can hold CMC in the check like he did last year and this past week, I definitely think it's going to be a big day for the Buccaneers defense. Shaq Barrett, I think, is going to have at least 2 sacks today, maybe another quarterback hit. And I think that rookie safety back there, Anton Winfield Jr., I think he's going to have a huge day. I'm looking at maybe another 10-plus tackles.
All right, Blake.
30-14, Buck.
30-14, why?
30-14. I think defense come up with some turnovers. I think they're still going to struggle a little bit, but they'll find ways to put the ball in the end zone and come away with the victory.
All right, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, what's your prediction and why?
32-17 Bucks. One off of your perfect prediction again, Peter. Props last week for that perfect prediction.
Thank you.
Just want to say again, they're going to be raffling off a Mike Allstott authentic jersey here at the Deck Bar and Grill at Isla del Sol. That's the raffle at halftime. We got great food specials. It's a great place to be. And even if you're not here this week, be out here the rest of the season. Your Buck support will be here each and every week.
Absolutely. We will be here no matter what tech issues happen. Sorry about the phone line. We'll try to get it worked out. The Bucks are going to win this game 27-13. Their offense necessarily is not going to get it all together, but somewhat together. Look for Rob Gronkowski to catch a touchdown, Leonard Fournette to be involved with this game plan in a major game by Shaq Barrett. Oh, yeah, Godwin's going to go off today, too. Yeah, Godwin and Fournette are the guys you need to look for at this juncture. Absolutely. Mark it down. So, for Philip Swagler, our editor-in-chief of Bucks Report, for Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, for Blake Anthony at Sports Talk 49, I'm your host, Peter Blake. Enjoy the game. Go Bucks. And what do? Fire those cannons.
Those Ventures.
No.
Prediction
really quick here. Are we about to get off? Are we going? We're about to get off, but we got Cedric. Cedric, what's the prediction for the Bucks and Broncos really quick?
Okay, so I got a little conundrum.
Okay, conundrum.
Jeff Driscoll,
Yes.
the former Florida quarterback.
Uh-huh.
I got to cheer for my Florida boys.
Uh-huh.
But not when they're going against my Bucks.
There you go. I like that.
I think depleted defense, new quarterback coming in against a Bucks team that's doing very well. I'm going with the Bucks. I think a blowout today. I'm going 35-3.
Wow. 35-3 from Cedric.
Damn.
Here.
He ain't going to get it done today.
Live at the Deck Bar and Grill. It's the Sports Web. Again, for everybody here, thanks a lot for the participation. We'll see you at halftime. Go Bucks.
Yep.
You're now in the Sports Web, a sports talk show for the hardcore fan. Bring your passion, bring your excitement, just don't bring any nonsense.
Power bill through the roof? At 320 Solar, that power bill will be no more. In fact, about 90% of our customers report lower solar payments than with electricity. That's more power in your pocket. 320 Solar. Power up. Going solar with 320 may cost you nothing down. But the work we do is not a $0 job. With a 10-year roof penetration warranty and solar panels guaranteed for 25 years, you can have peace of mind knowing we will do the job right every time without question. .320 Solar. Power up.
Come to Sam Ash for hundreds of exclusive holiday deals on music and sound gear from the most iconic brands. Save big on professional and starter guitars, drums, digital pianos, horns, violins, DJ, and electronic production equipment. Supercharge your home studio with deals on podcasting, streaming, and AV equipment like speakers, microphones, headphones, and acoustic treatment. Plus, with 36 months no-interest financing on thousands of items, you can get the gear of your dreams right now. From our incredible selection and service to our lowest price guarantee for over 95 years, real musicians know you only go to Sam Ash.
I think the great thing about team sports is it takes everybody.